Yes, but now we can talk. Okay, so my name's Mikey. What's your name?
Elle.
Elle?
Yeah.
And we got anyone else who wants to come and sit there? You're still doing the decorations. Tell us your name.
Hi, I'm Margot.
Just adjust that. And who have we got here?
Tom.
Okay, so this is Tolhuistuin Private Talk. Shall I come and join? Yes, you can. Yeah, give us 2 minutes. We'll keep an eye. If anyone comes in, we're gonna hit the special sound, which will be.
Sound testing.
If you hear that sound, it means you're needed. Okay, so we've got Elle, we've got Margot, we've got Tom. What's your name?
I'm Tan.
Tan. And I'm Mikey. This is Tolhuistuin Private Talk Show, where we can talk about absolutely anything we want. We're here at MozFest, which is all about an open and free internet, but this is an open and free talk show where you can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
I want to find out how people got involved in MozFest. Like, why? Like, Is it for the event side of it? Is it for the buzz? Is it a particular subject they're interested in?
Why? How
are you connected?
There's a why and a how, I think, now, isn't there? How did you get involved? Why did it? Come and join in. Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, well, don't worry. If you hear this noise, it means that somebody has come. Okay, so we've got Tan, we've got Elle, we've got Margot, we've got Tom, and Mikey. What's your name?
Mel.
Mel. It all rhymes. Okay, so as we were saying, this is a free and open talk show. This is Tolhuistuin. Oh, yeah. Oh. And you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. It's up to you. Margot asked a question: why and how did you get involved in MozFest? Anyone got any thoughts on that? Yeah.
So I found out about MozFest while I was on I was at a meetup at the Mozilla offices in London.
Yeah.
And at the time I couldn't afford MozFest.
Yeah.
So I decided to volunteer. I was like 18, nothing to do.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
9 years later.
Okay. I was going to say 3 years later.
No.
Okay. So you've been volunteering every year, or is
pretty much the pandemic kind of ruined some things. But during the pandemic, we went virtual.
Yes, we were there. We were in a. But when you're virtual, it's harder to kind of just grab people off the street because you're not on the street. So it's a bit more difficult to suck people in if you don't know what you're going to be talking about. So, but. What's been over 9 years? What's been your favourite MozFest moment?
So on Sundays in London, I really enjoyed the teardown because you used to take the lift up to the 9th floor and then go down, ripping everything off the walls.
And just throw it all out the window.
It was very fun. I really enjoyed that.
So you like the destruction element at the end? Okay. Okay. Mel, can I ask you the same question, same set of questions, but pick from it what you want?
Why MozFest? Why did I volunteer? Well, I like what Al said about not having any money for the ticket.
Right.
So money, and I'm new in the city, so I just moved to Amsterdam.
Right.
And I'm looking for a new job.
Yeah.
And I moved here from Berlin, where I used to volunteer.
Right.
So I'm also looking for new community.
Right.
And
okay.
so I was, I think Mozilla is great. And, so I signed up.
You signed
to get
up?
a free ticket to meet some people.
Yeah.
To get to know the city and.
Have you met anybody yet apart from us?
I met Elle.
Yes.
We were doing the registration together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's been fun. She has a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
So that's been good. And also working with Tan.
Yeah.
She's lovely.
Yeah.
She's also first time volunteering, so
cool.
We're kind of partners in crime, making all the mistakes together.
Okay. Well, that's interesting, the mistake making. Maybe we could go on to that, but let's go over to Tom.
I got involved first as a participant back in the second MozFest at Ravensbourne, and then did some facilitation, and now I thought I'd be a volunteer. Volunteering is fun, and you can meet people, and it's really enjoyable and a lovely thing to do. So
Have you got a favourite MozFest moment?
Favourite MozFest moment? Okay, it was a few years ago, but I remember one MozFest, I mentioned this idea to Laura Hillinger, that we could create an app that would tell everyone the karaoke words to a tune. And within an hour, they built that app, and the whole everyone who was there actually started singing the song sort of all in unison, using it in an hour or so. So yeah.
Making an app in an hour. This is MozFest, but welcome. Come and have a seat at the table of chat. Yes, you're very, very welcome. And your friends run off, I think, if it was your friends.
Yeah, we've got bikes to catch.
Okay.
Place to be.
Okay. Where do you have to be?
It's not a matter of where.
Yeah.
It's a matter of when.
When? Okay.
Yeah.
So you need to be somewhere non-specific at a definite time.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. And what's your name?
Elliot.
Elliot. We've got Elle. We've got Margot, and we've got Tom and Mikey. And what's your name? Come a bit closer as well.
My name is Will.
Will. And what are you doing hiring bikes here in Amsterdam?
Well, we're hiring bikes so we can cycle around.
Yeah. Do you know? Have you heard of Mozilla or MozFest?
I haven't, no.
Okay, so someone want to explain what it is? Because we're here, this is an open event, and we're here, everyone's welcome, but MozFest are the guys that invited us, so maybe do you want to say something about
Sure. Well, MozFest is about keeping the internet free and open for everyone, and making sure it's a healthy sort of internet, not one that's causing harm to people. So this year we're talking a lot about some of the sort of dangerous aspects of artificial intelligence and things along those lines.
Okay. Okay, but do you think that Elliot, do you think that the internet is a dangerous place, a safe place, a nice place, a nasty place?
I think it can be all. It can be all types. It's probably quite a dangerous place if you're not safe.
Yeah. And what was it William?
William, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I guess the internet's pretty useful for everyone. Like it provides a lot of good stuff. It's just you have to make sure that it's regulated or there's some sort of barriers in place for.
I mean, when you go on the internet, do you feel scared?
I mean, I don't, but
no. No.
I imagine there's people out there that could, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay. Does anyone feel scared when they go on the internet? You do.
I don't, well, not on like a regular basis, but what scares me is there's sometimes like you read articles and things like that, and you think like, oh yeah, obviously it says on this news website, but it actually might be wrong. It may be like a fake fact or something. Like I think the BBC, they're just kind of blowing the trumpet about it. They've got this unit that kind of cross-checks facts, and before they do like a report on TV, whatever, they say like, this has gone through our fact verification center, So it's obviously a big thing, even for people like the BBC, and that makes me think like, shit. So what are the things which are incorrect, or
I mean, is there any has anyone ever been taken in by fake news or a false fact, or something that they thought to be true that later on turned out to be not true? Yeah, you have.
I mean, plenty of times. I mean, I've been living in South Africa for the last 5 years, and there's not much really to stop the circulation of false news, fake news, and a lot of people get. The internet is, for a lot of people there, just Facebook. Right. They don't really understand, or they're not really aware that there's, that is how a lot of people.
So, for people in South Africa, the internet is Facebook.
Well, that may be a bit of an exaggeration, but it is generally considered like that, and that means that people just absorb whatever's on those, those platforms, and they trust it.
Can you give us an example of something?
Well, in South Africa, it's been a lot of things for example, there's been a lot of fake news around sort of disturbance or conflict, which has then caused conflict because people believe that things had happened, so communities then sort of kicked off because of things that didn't actually happen. Right,
okay. So something gets reported that wasn't true, and then it spirals out of control on Facebook. Is there anything that people at this festival... Hello, come and have a seat for... I know that you're busy coming to the festival. This is the kind of intro bit, and we've got Elliot and William that are just passers by that not got anything. They're only. Give us a final thought before.
Yeah, can I say, Mikey, just good luck with the talk show. Good luck with the Mozilla Firefox. Was it? Is that the original?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember using that when I was a kid. Good.
Yeah.
A good browser. A good wholesome browser.
But you don't use it anymore.
No, I'm a Chrome boy now.
Okay.
Maybe not for long.
Okay. Final thought, William.
Yeah, just keep the internet free and stuff.
Keep the internet free. Okay, well that is our challenge. Where do we go from here? I mean, is it possible for Mozilla, the people that come to Mozilla, to actually do anything about this stuff? Is there anything that we can do to actually change that situation, or is that just how it's going to go? Are we kind of... Yeah, go on.
It reminds me, because you mentioned Facebook, it reminded me when somebody was chatting to me on Facebook, it was a fake account of my friends, and that person was like, hey, how are you? And I was like, I, for some reason, I just clocked it quite quickly. It was a fake account. Yeah. And I started just talking at that person, bot, I don't know, to a point that they defriended me because I just said, I want to push it as far as it can go. Right. Because I can see that they're trying to sell me something or do some harm potentially. Are you on Facebook? Oh,
come and talk about it. Come and talk about it.
No, come on. So I think I frustrated the bot that was kind of, but I think some people do believe this is a real thing. Are you on Facebook?
Come on out, come and join us for a couple of minutes. It's a very basic one. We're just kicking off. We're talking about MozFest. What is MozFest all about? Tom said, go on, Elle.
This is not Facebook, but what you said about trolling the bots. I'm more active on Instagram, and every now and then you get these bots that come through. Some of them trying to live chat you, some of them claim to be sugar daddies. To all of these bots, I always reply with potato.
Yeah.
And then they keep on talking, and I say potato, potato, ketchup, and they keep talking, and eventually they stop. But quite often, if it looks like a fake, if it looks like a fake message, you can just send fake stuff back.
Okay, so be fake to the fakers. That seems to be the message. Outfake the fakers. We've got a new face. Tell us your name.
Vera.
Vera. We've got Elle. We've got Margot. We've got Tom. We've potentially got this person. Potentially not. My name's Mikey. We're talking about what do we do? Is there anything that we as individuals or as a collective can do to deal with all the dangers and nastiness out there on the internet? Is it about outfaking the fakers? Yep, Margot.
So if you keep saying a potato or something to this bot, is the future that they
potato?
A potato. No one says potato. No one says potato. Let's be honest about it. Tomato, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is so at the moment maybe it's quite a hard thing for a bot to get their heads around, the cyber head around, whatever. Yeah. But maybe in the future they will be able to. They'll be like, that's a very interesting abstract comment you made, or whatever. Yeah. If they start chatting back at you like this, then I'm scared.
Okay. Vera, have you got any views on this? Have you ever been chatted to by a fake friend or a bot, or do you feel safe when you go online?
I think I do feel safe, but I know I'm not.
You know you're not. You feel safe, but you know you're not.
Yeah. And
that's interesting.
That's the crux, and you feel like you're in control. Because it's like it's everything makes you feel like you're in control. But the moment you start to dig, you're like, oh my god, no, it's not the case.
Have you dug? And what have you dug up?
Well, they have this new feature on Instagram now that you can kind of look into what type of ads are being targeted to you and what kind of categories, and that's really strange because you don't realize how intense these things are about. If you check out an ad for a second longer than the other one, they immediately think like, oh, that's what you're interested in. And it might be what you're interested in, and you're like, am I actually interested in it? It's a nice way of reflecting on yourself, but in a very scary way. So yes, it makes me reflect, but on the other hand, do I want Instagram to help me reflect on myself? I don't know.
Is there any kind of like wrong or inappropriate ads that you are getting on your Instagram feed?
I don't know. It's so strange, right? So recently I've just been getting all these like images, which is also strange, all these ads for hard water in your shower, and then you can get new shower heads, so you get better hair and better skin. That's what I get, and I'm like, how do they know I have hard water?
Okay.
I once had I don't know if it was a coincidence or some of the apps are synced up, but basically one time my cycle was late. My lady cycle was late, and suddenly the ads on Instagram started showing me baby stuff.
Oh no!
Does Bezos know something I didn't? I checked on my cycle tracking app, and I'm like, yes, I'm 2 days late. Why am I seeing baby stuff?
Okay, was that app responsible for snitching on Instagram?
I don't know. I wasn't pregnant. I was just stressed out.
Okay, well, is that a little bit too intrusive? Come and have a seat on the table of chat while you're enjoying your mint tea.
Coming out for a smoke.
I mean, what do people think? Can you? No, yeah. Oh, you have to go beyond the red zone. Is that what's going on? Anyway, we're talking about freaky things that we get advertised. Have you ever had any?
Well, I mean, I think what Vera was saying about the idea of you feeling in control.
Yeah.
The point of so many of the platforms is to give you that impression.
The impression of control, yeah.
But that's important because that allows you to stop thinking about these things. And the important thing that we can do is to take that away and allow people to feel uncomfortable and think about them. But I mean, to give you a concrete example of Reddit, for example, about 80% of all the moderators are from the US, which doesn't make any sense because you can't have a small group of people from the US controlling the whole load of things.
Yeah.
So there's a whole thing that's kicked off there, but it looks like they're thinking about replacing some of that with AI, inevitably. But that's not really going to change. What they should be doing is making the people who moderate much more diverse and allowing more diverse groups of people to. So what we're sort of obviously, I mean, and another point about this is that advertising, the way that advertising works, has become almost one of the central principles of how the internet itself works.
Yeah.
It magnifies the ego, gives you the impression of control, constantly bombards you with pleasure or with feelings of fear or pleasure, similar to what modern and a lot
it's
of
kind of a cocktail of fear.
It's a cocktail of stuff those things are not good for people in general. Probably are likely to cause problems.
Okay. All right. I mean, Vera.
But also, I think
the
idea that we're creeped out by these things we can also have a critical look into that, right? Because maybe we think we are very unpredictable people and we're free, but I think maybe without you even knowing it, you already Googled something that would indicate in a way that you already knew that you were late or something. We are creatures that work towards patterns.
So we're quite predictable.
We are predictable, and we think oh my God, how can you predict that this was? It's actually pretty easy sometimes.
Yeah.
And then we come up with these ideas of that my phone is listening to me, and I'm like, no, it's not listening because that would be very difficult. But it's just analyzing you in a way you don't know that you're actually showing a lot of patterns that show who you are as a person.
So in a way, the question is, what is the sort of right dialing of paranoia? Is it on a 4, a 6, a 8? How paranoid do we need to be is really the question here.
No, but I mean, I wonder, because I think the social, the internet and social media and targeted adverts and that kind of stuff are, I'm kind of slightly disturbed. What is it that this algorithm or whoever or whatever knows about me that I don't fully reflect on myself? That's a bit scary. But it's on one hand is enhancing the impression that we're so individual. This target is specific to me and other women kind of in a similar location and my ethnicity and my age, whatever. But on one hand is giving you super points for being individual, but really we're just we're like everyone else. But humans are so stupid. They're I'm individual, or this is infringing my individuality. When do we why don't we just accept that we're just basically the same?
Have we got a thing about individuality? Do we think we're more individual than we actually are?
I need to walk off, but I will leave you with this. You are all
that's perfect because
a very special snowflake, just like everyone else.
Okay, all right, okay. Vera, we want to find that. As the way Elle did it, she gave us a final thoughts. That's what we like, a final thought. Give us a final thought before you go.
I don't think we're free.
You don't think we're free? It's a big one. That's okay. Are we free? How free is free?
I'm going to have to have a final thought.
Yeah.
If you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much room. There you go.
You're living on the edge. You're taking up.
Okay. If you're not living on the edge, you're taking up. We're living on the edge of the festival, actually, aren't we? So but are we taking up too much room?
Best place to be. It's the best place to be.
Okay. This is Mozilla Festival Fringe, in fact. Lovely shirt, by the way. Where did you get? Can I just ask you where you got your?
It's actually a kimono.
It's a kimono.
Yes, tailored in Nairobi, Kenya.
In Nairobi. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am part of the wonderful Mozilla family.
Yeah.
So that's what brings me here. Participating in MozFest, which is all about community, and I'm all about anything that's all about community.
Okay, so for you, it's about building a community.
100%.
I mean, you said
Being
family.
part of movement.
Yeah. What is the movement all about, as far as you're concerned? And we didn't get your name either.
My name is Roxy.
Roxy, welcome. I'm Mikey. This is Margot. Thanks for coming to sit down.
Hi, Margot. Fantastic job. I saw you guys yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. We changed the location.
See if it's for the better.
The idea is we can just get the passers-by, like these people, to come and sit down and just find out a bit about them, rather than just, we can mix. Talking about a community, we can actually potentially bring in new recruits that are just here to hire bicycles, and next minute they're part of
the conversation.
Of the conversation, exactly.
I'm trying to see if I can spot anyone I know.
Come and have a seat. 2 minutes. We have got Margot. We've got Roxy. I'm Mikey. What's your name?
Nikita or Nick.
Which do you prefer?
Let's go with Nikita.
Nikita, and where are you from, if you don't mind me asking?
I am from Kyrgyzstan.
From Kurdistan. Oh, wow, amazing. Let's get we have got Roxy from Nairobi. Where are you from?
I'm from Poland.
Okay, and I am from London. That's gonna come and have a seat. Be part of this international panel. We've got Roxy, we've got Nikita, we have got Margot. Mikey, what's your name?
Sadhna Seelam.
What is it?
Sadhna Seelam.
Sadhna Seelam?
Yes. And I am from San Francisco by way of India.
Okay. What we've been talking about with with Roxy is this idea of building a family, building a community. And is it a truly global community? It seems like what we've got around the table, it might be. But what is the point of this building a family and building a community? Do you feel part of a community here at MozFest?
Yes, I do. We've been part of this whole TWS, the Trustworthy AI Working Group, for the last year or so, and our company, Markia, the founder, is inside, and she's going to do a presentation later today. But basically, it was devised as a facility, a tool that can be used online to help filter harassing and messages on social media.
Right.
So basically, you don't get to see the negativity that can plague people.
So it's like a negativity filter.
Yes, exactly. It's a spam filter for negative tweets. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't want? Would you want a negativity filter, Nikita?
A negativity filter?
Yeah.
It should be installed in every length of every human being's eyes.
Yeah. Could you have some in your sunglasses or in your glasses? A negativity filter, and what would it filter out?
You can do that in VR, on VR, because VR is going to apparently now Apple has just now unveiled in the last week or so. It's a new VR set which is upwards of $3,700. So it's a little bit out of range for some people, including myself. But you know that this is coming. You know that when anything that exclusive, it's only another year's time before it becomes it's on somebody's face, maybe within a year's time. So we do need to regulate. We need to litigate some of these things and make sure that we want to exist as a family, right? I mean, there's so much more fun to coexist than to not.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
And what about if you've got negativity in your family? I have arguments in my family, that's for sure. I mean, do we want to completely remove the negativity?
I mean, also, like, what do you do if you don't like members of your family? Like, what I mean by that is, like, there's some people whose opinions I will disagree with, and maybe the way in which they're being reinforced, those opinions, will be like a kind of grating way.
She's called Ella. You can call her over.
Okay. Come and have a seat on the table of chat. You're being called Ella? No. Yes. I know. Come and sit down. Come and sit around the table of chat. This is Tokyoki. We're hiding in the glowing pink table. Roxy, give us a final thought before you go. We want a final thought from you. Can be quick.
I'll share thoughts.
Yeah.
Ella has an installment. Well, not Ella, but like Open Cities Lab, which is where Ella is from, and she'll tell you that has an installment that is part of the Ethical Dilemma Cafe. You should check it out.
Okay, thank you. Mzuri sana. Is that what you say? I mean, maybe not. I don't know. Didn't seem to react. Right. Okay. Sadhana, Nikita. What's your name?
Ella.
Ella. And
Ali.
Ali.
Yes.
Ali, Ella, Nikita, Sadhana, and Mikey. At the moment, we're talking about this idea that come and join in. That MozFest is a family, but is that a good thing? What about the sort of Sadhana was talking about filtering out negativity, but I am sort of slightly twisting it.
That's what the app does. I mean, basically, we've trained the AI models to help filter out harassing messages on social media platforms, and we hope that it'll be our product is taken and mandated through the FCC, at least in America, which is the Federal Communications Department, and have them basically say, you Twitter, you Facebook, have this installed on either woven into your app as you deliver it to people, or offer it for free, source it from us and offer it for free to your platform of users.
Okay.
That's what we would like.
So you want everyone to have, it's not, in a way it's a harassment filter rather than pure negativity.
Exactly.
Margot, you got a question?
I'm just interested in like how the internet is used in Kyrgyzstan, because it's not a place of the world that I'm very familiar with, but I just kind of understand there's former USSR, country of influence, with the satellite country, or maybe part of USSR even, and just kind of like hearing what's the kind of information war that's happening between Russia and Ukraine at the moment. It just kind of makes me think how information is being weaponized, but maybe not in Kyrgyzstan. I'm just really curious. Is it Kyrgyzstan?
Kyrgyzstan?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I don't think that we are actively taking part in any of the sites, because our politics really depends on what Russia's been doing. We're quite close, so I don't think we have a representation of like international arena. I think Kyrgyz president was one of, I think maybe even the single one who attended the 9th of May March parade. And like the whole country were like, what are you doing? But he still went to this event.
Okay. I mean, does the idea of a free and open internet, is it different in a place like Kyrgyzstan than maybe, say, in the Netherlands? Or
it's actually very liberating, and I think we are now in the way of making what's it called, a creative hub or something, where you become an artist and you just pay like 1% of taxes, and the only condition is for you to export your products. So yeah, we're quite interested in those ideas, because we're a small country and there's nothing much we can offer to the world. So why don't we offer our brains and creativity?
Okay, so it's like that's a lot to offer. Okay, so it's a way for Kyrgyzstan to get out there to the world. The internet's very important, especially if you're surrounded by a country like Russia. You can get out there. Any thoughts? And by the way, people, come and join in. We've got an international panel here. Give us 2 minutes. We want to find out who you are. Are you doing the rehearsal? Oh, good luck with the rehearsal. We'll see you later. But Ella, Ali, have you got any comment?
So Ali is say what you do. She's not involved in tech, and she just came to meet me because I'm from South Africa. I'm here in Amsterdam for a week for this festival. Or for the
You're our second South African today, by the way. Yes, I'm afraid to say.
Well,
Are you also from South Africa? We've got a third South African.
PhD in
What's your PhD in? Yeah, never try and explain somebody else's PhD thesis, because you will come a cropper. Okay, so you're doing a PhD, so tell us about it. Grab the mics, it's going to be long.
So I am currently doing a double doctorate between the
A double doctorate?
Two at the same time. I'm crazy.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't do it, kids. No.
Yeah.
So I'm at Groningen here in the Netherlands. I'm also based at Stellenbosch in South Africa, and I am doing it in conservation ecology, looking at saving the largest population of free-roaming cheetahs in southern Africa.
Yeah.
So quite different.
I mean, we say on Tolhuistuin that everything's connected, so we need to find a connection between the cheetahs of South Africa and the internet creativity of Kyrgyzstan. I'm sure there is something that we can connect these two. And all right, so saving the cheetahs, is that both of the doctorates or just one?
Yeah.
So you're doing 2 different doctorates, both cheetah related.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I don't sleep.
Yeah. What? Is that an animal?
The fastest animal in the world.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Really fast one.
Yeah.
The really cute cat.
Okay.
Never saw one.
Okay. Give us a final thought before you go.
So the connection between cheetahs and the internet in Kyrgyzstan, which I have never been, and if you ask me to spell it, I'll probably fumble. But you know how your country is spelled, because we are so ignorant, about so many things. America is so absorbed with itself. But cheetahs, I mean, they are living creatures, and there is so much abuse of animals going on in the world.
Yeah.
Why not? And if you can help marginalized creatures anywhere, we can help marginalized ideas in countries that most people can't spell come out to the fore. So it is a win-win situation. So bravo to your work and to cheetahs in general.
Okay, we're going to try and explore further about
I mean, I'll say what I do. I work for Open Cities Lab. We're a civic tech nonprofit based in South Africa.
Yeah.
And so we work with open data and.
Hello. Good.
We try and how can we use data and tech to improve the relationship between government and the people, and get better data strategies so that municipalities are making more informed decisions. And we were kind of like, how do we show data to the average, well, just people who are not involved in conferences like this. And so we were like, okay, let's use art to show data. So I'm actually wearing one of our
a data
installation.
We might have to stand up and show it to the camera as well, which is over here.
Okay, so Africa, you can see. So this is explaining the digital divide in Africa. Like a gigabyte of data actually costs over 3.3% of to people in Africa, like when it should cost like lower than 2% of your income a month. And so data is insanely expensive in Africa.
3.3% of your monthly income.
Yeah, on average. And so there's a digital divide, and Africa. So it's in the negative, and then these yellow bar graphs are like in the different countries how much data costs. And so I mean, coming to the Netherlands from South Africa, it boggles my mind. I like get a SIM card here, and I'm like, data is so cheap, and like I can, it just lasts forever. In South Africa, I spend so much money every month on using the internet, and that's creating this digital divide. And
I mean, do you have a data binge when you get here? You just like a bit like I was doing at the hotel this morning, kind of like free breakfast, so like, and we just took a whole plate full of patisserie with us as well, because we had a binge. I mean, is that what happens when you come to a country that's got so much fast and reliable data? Anyway, we've got new faces to the table. We have got Nikita, we have got Ella, we've got Ali, I'm Mikey, we've got Margot. What's your name?
Jan.
And?
My name is Anna.
Anna, welcome. And what countries are you from?
Finland.
Finland?
Yeah, Finland.
Finland? I mean, what's interesting here, we have people from all around the world. You've missed the Kenyan and the Indian / American. But we're trying to connect all these things. Like Ali is a cheetah expert. Nikita is
told you what I do.
Yeah, you don't really, but you're from Kyrgyzstan, and there's something about creativity and art, but we didn't find out more about that. But I'm struggling here, but it's a very rewarding challenge of trying to link all these different flows together. So I mean, are you off, Nikita?
Yeah.
Give us a final thought before you go.
I am working as a public speaking coach. I'm doing an improvisational theater, and I am in transition now. So my thought is to connect with yourself and figure out what you need to do in life to be meaningful.
Yeah.
That's the final thought.
What's the kind of first place to look for the meaning?
I think somewhere inside, all the questions are there.
All questions
inside.
are within?
Yeah, because I've traveled a long way here and still no answers because they're inside.
Okay, that's a big one to leave us with. Okay, so where do we want to go from here? This is kind of your talk show, so it's up to you. Can you help us connect these different flows, Jan?
I don't know what kind of subjects you have, but you said something about gigabytes in Africa or something like that. Well, I can say for Finland that we have something like 25 euros and we can use all as we want, as much as we want, text messages and everything, and we can use it all around EU countries, which means that in here we can freely use internet and pretty much everything, and that's only 25 euros in a month, so it's basically...
Are you kind of almost data gluttons then, where you kind of like you're just using? What do you use all that data for?
Well, it depends probably what you do in your life, because I'm a student and worker, so I use in both in my life situations.
Like as a student, to have access to data, and we don't have that in Africa. It's so expensive. Like we were having to give out data bundles during. During the pandemic, because students were like having to learn from home, and people couldn't get onto the internet to access education because they couldn't afford it, and their parents had to choose between like putting food on the table and like internet, and of course you choose food, and so that's how we get further and further behind because people aren't being educated, and
okay, so it is an issue. Are you further in front because you've got so much data?
How can it not be?
Are the Finns ahead? Are you ahead of the game now because you're just so saturated with data?
I want to ask you, just because you mentioned some while back that you work in something that kind of brings, I don't know, the people and the government kind of municipality. What's the government situation like in Finland? Are you getting so much data because your government is doing something bad to you in other places? I'm just wondering, because for me it's a question of trust. Like, do we actually trust our governments? And that's
that's what we were talking about yesterday on Tolhuistuin. Trust, and do we trust the government? How does the Finnish government stand up to this? Are they giving you a lot of data, but are you almost being blinded by data and they're doing bad stuff behind, or do you trust your government?
Our government gives us free education.
Well, I trust, but we are one of the unique countries in the world that has unlimited data. I understand that in many countries it's limited by gigabytes, but it's kind of a nice thing to have unlimited because, just like I said, I'm a student. I can study wherever I want. I have platforms in internet, so in Netherlands I can.
What are you studying?
Computer science.
Right.
So I can do it wherever I want, however I want.
Yeah. Come and join us. We've got a very international panel. We're talking about the availability of data and a kind of global inequality in South Africa, or in Africa in general. Data is very expensive. It costs roughly 3.3% of your monthly salary to get 1 gigabyte. Whereas these guys are from Finland and they're just like overloaded with data, and that's why these guys are very educated. These people from South Africa, not so much. In fact, Ali has to do 2 PhDs at the same time just to keep up. So we've got Margot, we've got Jan, we've got Anna, we've got Ella, we've got Ali, and I'm Mikey, and
Marcel.
Marcel, welcome. Yes, I can read, but it's just a part of the process. And where are you from, Marcel?
I'm from San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Yeah. US.
And what's the data situation there? And are you doing anything useful with all that data if you've got a lot of it?
I think I could be using more, but there's an abundance, and it becomes a problem at that point. Too much?
So you don't know too much. It's a bit like, because you were comparing gigabytes to bytes of food, and you were saying in South Africa people need to eat rather than pay for data. But can you also be kind of data obese in a way, or data overloaded?
I think so, and then it kind of takes the joy out of that data. All of a sudden, you have the entire internet right here. You can do whatever you want on it, and so you do nothing.
Okay, so it's a bit too much available. Do we need to restrict? Can you do a data donation? Maybe. Could you donate some of your data?
We would love that. You would love data to us.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Ask our president then.
Yeah.
Let's see what kind of deal we can make.
Okay.
And by the way, I know you're from States, so sorry to say, I just said that we have 25 euros unlimited data, and we can use it as much as we want. I know it's in US a lot of expense here, but believe it or not.
So it's
believe it or not, people in Finland are a little bit frustrated, like because of the inflation, it has gone a little bit higher.
Right.
It was pretty much 50 euros, 19 euros, and now we are going 25 between 30 euros.
Okay, so you're upset that your data costs have gone up to 25 euros for unlimited. Okay. I mean, where do we want to go with this? Is inflation hitting South Africa, and in what kind of ways? Is it about data, or is it about other things? Ali, grab the mic.
I think currently in South Africa, food prices in the past little bit have gone up 50%.
Right.
So if you want bread, it's costing you double. Everything's now costing you double. Salaries isn't, and also we just don't have electricity, so that's just a great plus.
Yeah. So, okay. So, come tell us about this.
I have an app on my phone called Eskom Push. Eskom is our government, the company that provides electricity, and they turn the power off 2 to 3 times a day for 2 hours. So, depending on the stage, we have stages 1 to 8. We're usually on stage 6, which means it goes off twice a day, sometimes for 4 hours at a time. So you got the app; it gives you an hour notification. The power's going off in an hour, and you got to charge all your things and make sure you're cook food. Yeah. It's and that's how we're living. That's how our economy is. Universities are spending millions of rands a day just to keep
keep the
things
lights
going.
On. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Does that change things socially for you? Does that change kind of your behaviors when that happens? What new things do you do in that?
Yeah. Okay, I wanted to go for a movie tonight, but the power's going to be off, and it's you can't go to the cinema. And
what happens if you go? You
go to a bar and there's candles and they're playing their music off a JBL speaker for 2 hours, and then but it almost you really start to appreciate electricity when you have it. And when the power comes back on, it's the government are so good at being we've gone down to stage 3. You're so lucky that we're only turning the power off and we're thank God it's only twice a day that it's being turned off and not 4 times a day, because that's what we've gotten used to. It's a crazy new reality. And
okay, come and join in on this one. Give us 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. We're talking about. Where are you from, by the way? Czechia. All right, what is the situation there? I mean, we're talking about in Finland, they're almost they're just data everywhere. It's just cheap, and they're splashing and splotching in data. In San Francisco, they've got plenty of data, but it costs money. In South Africa,
no data.
No data, no electricity. We haven't heard about the Polish side, but just quickly tell us.
I can tell you more, but
just grab the mic quickly and just.
I haven't been there. I live here for 5 years.
Okay. So. Is it because there wasn't enough data in Czechia? Okay, you're a data migrant.
Yes.
Okay, well that's interesting. I mean, are you a data migrant? Is this why you kind of got one foot in Groningen?
They paid me.
They paid you. Okay, so you're an economic migrant. Okay.
I got paid. In South Africa, as a student, you don't get paid, and if you do, it's almost pathetic. So that's why I'm here.
I mean, how much of this is about the actual money? I mean, how much of it is about the? Is it in the end all about the money? Why you've got no data, no food, and no electricity? Corruption,
mismanagement, and I mean, we had this issue before 2010, and that's over a decade ago, and nothing's been done, and people just keep stealing.
Okay, so they're stealing out. They've got their hands in the till.
It's systemic. The corruption in South Africa.
Okay, I mean, this is a question that I keep coming back to. We're here at MozFest. We've got all the minds of the world that are passionate about open data and open and free internet. Is there anything us guys can do about? Yes, Jan.
I was just a little bit listening everything and thinking, but this is quite a funny subject. But what didn't we tell you is that I'm half Finnish, half Polish.
Right.
She is Finnish, half German, half Russian, half Finnish. I don't know. How many halves there is there anymore? But either way, it's kind of an amazing thing, because I know that in German a lot of things are done with the paper. Like taxes and everything is done by paper and sending to the email and everything. We don't in Finland do anything by paper anymore. Everything is in the internet. Nothing is done anymore by pen and paper. that's.
And what about the kind of, let's say, the older people or the people that are not used to doing stuff online?
It's difficult for them.
Yeah, it's
because
hard.
everything.
Yeah.
Like every access you have to do on internet or by the phone. So, for example, taxis, you have the service when the elderly people get help to fill out the internet blank.
Right, okay, so there are people out there just knocking on old people's doors saying we're going to help you with the taxis. Okay, we've got a new face. Tell us your name.
I'm Ranu.
Ranu. And where are you from?
I'm originally from India, but I'm doing my PhD in UK.
Okay, so UK. Hang on with the South Africans. The South Africans, everyone's leaving. Let's get some final thoughts. That's how it works on Talkioki. We like to get a final thought to find out where the conversation is going to go. So give us a final thought. Ella?
Well, the conversation doesn't have to end. I'm around at MozFest for the next 2 days. You can come talk to me about my data dress.
Have you got any other data garments or just this one?
They're upstairs in the Ethical Dilemma Cafe.
Right,
so
okay.
I'll be around. You can come chat. And find out more about South Africa and open data and what we're doing there. To try and my main project is actually around elections. That's what I work with, and we doing that to try and get more people informed before they go vote. So it's like a site where you can type in your address and get more information about your councillors so that you're more informed before you go vote. And we're doing that around Africa for all the elections, and there are many over the next 2 years.
Right.
In South Africa, there's going to be a pivotal election next year because the ANC, who've been in power since the end of apartheid, they're finally losing power because people are starting
people are losing power.
People are getting really disillusioned, and so it's going to they're calling 2024 the year of the election in Africa. So
okay, so you're building up to that one. Okay. I want to get a final thought from you, Jan, but let me just get a brief final thought from you, Ali. Could be about cheetahs if you want.
About cheetahs, 7,000 left in the world, and I'm trying my best to save them all.
Okay. How do we save cheetahs? Is there a particular thing that we can do?
Help me find them.
Okay. All right. So if you see a cheetah, just email Ali at Groningen University.
The size of the area I'm currently covering is 240,000 kilometers squared.
Yeah.
So
and they move quite fast.
They move massive distances, so it's it's a great game.
Okay. Thanks for that. Final thought, Jan?
You asked final thoughts. One similar subject of this is that Ella said that how difficult it's in Africa, like in electricity and internet and everything like that stuff. I said that I'm half Polish. I remember my childhood in Polish. Sometimes there was hurricanes or something like that. Electricity wouldn't work at all. So what I'm trying to search is that in Finland that kind of situation isn't. Many people get used to and spoiled that everything is so easy, cheap, and everything working and something like that.
So we kind of take that infrastructure for granted.
Yeah, that's kind of modern problem that people are getting too much for free and get used to into that. So that's kind of a bad thing, and that is kind of
maybe we should do a little exchange. Go to South Africa, send these guys to Finland, and then you'll take the things that they take for granted, like sunshine, will suddenly be an amazing thing.
Well, in Finland, it's always raining and always cold, and it's sun only in the summertime.
And I don't want too much to say that let's burn electricity, but if you ever come to Finland, come to sauna. It's gonna be fun.
Okay. So you've got ways to beat the cold, and that's the sauna. Okay, where are we going to go? This conversation. Are you off as well, Anna? Give us a final thought.
We need to go to the Adams.
What are you going to go and see now?
We're going to swing.
Oh, okay.
Adam swing,
Okay, I just saw it on the way up here. There's these massive swings on top of that building.
Okay, well, thanks very much, and we'll see you later on. If you come up with any ideas to solve some of these problems, then come and tell us on the table of chat, because that's what we're really desperate for. As we said from the very beginning, that's what we're all about here at MozFest.
I was wondering about this idea of. By the way, I loved Finnish entry to the Eurovision. I voted for them. Polish, not so good, but Finnish,
I like the Polish one as well.
Yeah, but I preferred Finnish. They got my vote. Have you watched Eurovision, people over there?
Do you know about Eurovision? Do you know? No.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Do you know what Eurovision is?
No.
No. Okay, we're going to have to explain that. Marcel, do you know? No.
I've only seen clips. I've only seen.
Okay.
So Eurovision is this it's a competition for singers across Europe, but actually weirdly Australia is in it, and who else? Turkey is in it, even though they're not geographical Europe, one Europe. But it's like a competition, and each country kind of enters the singer with a song, and then someone wins, and then there's part of the vote is made by the judges and part by the public. So sometimes the judges may vote for someone, but then the public goes like, no, we like this person, and that's it. It's like a pan-European thing. But it's also known these days to be quite trashy. So their entry was actually really trashy, but in a really interesting way. But what I want, I mean, do you have something like that in America or in India? Well, in London, I guess there was an English entry.
I mean, is there like an India Vision Song Contest where?
No, I don't think so. And even in India, India is not one, and it's a collection of more than 100 different cultures in India. So what you hear mostly is the Hindi version of everything. And I'm not from Hindi belt, so I don't speak Hindi.
What language do you speak?
It's a language called Telugu. It's Telugu.
Telugu.
Yeah, it's one of the main language in South India.
Right. Okay.
So and we don't have one thing to represent the whole India. So that's the beauty of India, I think.
I mean, do you get kind of annoyed that kind of like the Hindu element it gets sort of forefronted? Is it does that kind of culture dominate a bit too much?
Exactly, and I've been vocal about this, and I talk on Facebook and Twitter that even the government is trying to impose the language of Hindi in all the non-Hindi speaking states, so that they can easily communicate with the other states as well. So I've been vocal about it and strongly condemn the imposition of Hindi in the other states.
Okay, I mean, is there a similar situation going on in San Francisco? Is there like a language battle going on or anything like that?
Is there? Not that I know of. I mean, I think it's pretty. There's so many different subcultures that different neighborhoods can speak their own languages. And
what kind of languages are spoken apart from obviously?
I mean, mostly English, Spanish, Chinese. Maybe there are some other pockets, but I think those are the three main ones. There's a big Chinatown out there, big Latin district and stuff like that, which I live in, and the rest mostly English. So
Okay, so well, that's interesting to know. Yeah.
I mean, somebody said here earlier, there was some whole feud happening on Reddit because over 90% of moderators were English speakers, or they were American, in fact. But I wondered, and also you mentioned about Hindi. I mean, is that domination of English, Hindi in India? Is that somehow relevant to the internet in your view? I just wonder, is that, or is it just well, there's that, but actually the internet is something separate? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's an English domination as well of the internet. I mean, I mean, what about English? Does English overuse on the internet as well?
So
compared to your language?
For me, I see English more as a link language. It's true, the whole internet is dominated by English, but it helps people like me to interact with different country people. So if there's no English, there's no way I can communicate with you or other parts of the world. But you should give equal representation, or for example, even the models, the AI models were heavily biased on English. So for instance, if you say anything in English, you make any misogynistic or any hate speech online, it can be easily flagged. But you twist that and you change the language, and you deliberately use some typos, and the models go I don't see anything wrong in this.
Okay.
So misinformation and hate speech and things like that, it happens more in in other languages, which all the companies are conveniently ignoring because it takes so much money and time for them to train the models in those languages.
Okay, so AI is quite English oriented and more kind of on top of English, let's say. Marcel?
Yeah, and I think in the keynote speech just now, the speaker was talking about that, how Facebook, all the protections they put in, they said, oh, we've got so many protections in the US, so you shouldn't pass any laws. But all the protections they were putting were English speaking, and then so the Europe and countries that don't have a large language population comparatively were taking all of the harm. And so there was no moderation. Even if you reported it a million times, it would never get taken down because they didn't have someone in that language to kind of like review it. And so she said that led to a lot of the new legislation that's just passed. Is it DSA or something like that? I just looked it up on Wikipedia during the talk, but it's something that was just passed that has a lot of data protection and basic kind of safety laws applied to the EU. And a lot of people are looking forward to it. So I think actually there might be a talk about it going on now.
Right now, okay. We can just have to guess what we'll have to guess what they're saying. We'll have to look at it. We'll make it up, don't worry. We can do that on Talkioki. What do we want them to say about it? Well, I mean, this is Talkioki. You can take it any direction you want to take it. I mean, do we need to talk more about this kind of, the language domination, or, is it a good thing in a way that the internet is all English based because everyone seems to know English? What about the AI models? Is it, I mean, if you're a speaker of another language, we don't have, apart from, what's your language again?
Telugu.
Telugu.
Yeah.
I mean, if the AI was stronger in Telugu, would that make a difference, and what difference would it make?
So, for me, I think it's like the companies needs to be mindful of the different cultures, and for instance, Telugu is not it's like a small tribal language. So there are at least 80 million or 90 million speakers.
So it's quite a big language.
So there is no, I mean, there's no excuse for not training or not developing any models for other languages. For instance, almost all the major languages in India, they have tens of millions of speakers. So for instance, you make any racist remark or any hateful remark online, there is no way the Facebook can or Facebook or Twitter or any social media can detect them perfectly, because they don't have the representation of these people in their ethical or whatever that board that is. So they don't take people from different basically they don't have diversity. So when you don't have the diversity, you'll miss most of it.
Okay. I mean, is it just about regulating the hate speech? Are there other elements to this when it comes to hello? We have got Margot, we've got Ranu, we've got Marcel, and come and sit down. Come and bring your coffee. Bring your coffee around. We'll hit you with a round of applause. We didn't manage to capture either of those people. It's just like circling. They were circling, but we never managed to catch them. Any thoughts on this, Marcel?
I think one thing, besides the way of moderating harm and things like that, one other thing might be just providing value. Maybe the flip side, right? So by adding diversity and adding more sources of information from different cultures, from different languages and so on, it increases the value because if everything is English centric, then that also means I don't know, kind of like Western country kind of values and assumptions and beliefs and religion and stuff like that, whereas you wouldn't get the same sort of conversational back and forth that you would from a model that's trained natively in your language with a lot of the historical cultural background and kind of shared beliefs and things like that. And so the AI that we're interacting with is just kind of like a teeny fraction. It's a tiny slice of what it could be. And so I'm looking forward to seeing these other models come out.
I mean, is it possible to train the AI to value diversity or value things that are Eurocentric? Come and have a seat on the table of chat. We have got Margot, we've got Ranu, we've got Marcel, and Mikey. What's your name?
My name is Ethel.
Welcome. At the moment, we're kind of talking about, there's a few things on the table. This is a free-form talk show, so it can go in any direction. But we're kind of talking about this thing. Ranu, what's the name of your language again? Telugu. He's a Telugu speaker, which is a big language in India, but it's not the main language. Only 80 million people speak it. But that, you know, all the AI and all this kind of stuff is all, but mostly in English, and if it's in other languages, it's like seriously big languages. So you're losing a lot. Not only, I mean, you were mentioning like hate speech and filtering out hateful comments, but also we're losing the values from those different cultures. So that's what we're talking about. Is there a way to sort of retweak these AI models to actually, to work in these languages, or to sort of somehow value things coming from other cultures? That's what we're talking about at the moment. Yeah, there's a point from...
I was just wondering, because yesterday we spent quite a big portion of the Tokyoki talking about AI, and then someone kind of had a drop the mic moment, and they were like, well, why do we talk about AI so much? Why do we obsess about it? Shouldn't we talking more about collaboration? And I wonder in terms of like these, you know, I mean...
Are we too obsessed with AI?
Yeah,
Are
but
we
I wonder, but is
it?
AI ever going to be able to collaborate? Because, you know, you're talking about speakers of different languages maybe kind of informing the systems and that kind of stuff, but can AI, can AI take some of that job? I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously you need some people to start with, but I don't know. Can it?
Yeah. Okay. Ethel?
I was just gonna say, I think expanding even the definition of language, or how we see language as, you know, sort of this textual or written form, and learning from indigenous cultures that expand that and think of it as embodied gestures and things that we might not consider. I think there's a lot to learn from that, from other cultures. And
I mean, can it be brought into a language model as such, like things that are not text? Can you bring like other elements of language that are not text into a language model? Ranu's nodding, so you're saying yes?
I mean, like...
Yeah. Let me just get you a new face. Tell us your name.
Abe.
Abe. Marcel, Ethel, Ranu, Margot, and Mikey. Go on, Ranu.
I mean, like,
we'll come back to you.
It's a new development of language vision models, which takes both text and images. Or like images can be of anything. Basically, like the one model, it can look at both the text and images and generate the natural language output. So you can send a photo and ask the model to describe what is in it. Like if you take this picture and it's like a red t-shirt, like a red shirt guy sitting in the middle talking to all the other...
Oh, that's me.
So the model will try to explain that.
Okay.
Okay. So
so it can bring in images, but is that the same as gestures, do you think?
I think in the point of images as well, then it expands it to think about the other conversations and biases with images in AI and technology, where certain people are not as represented in these search engines, I guess. So I guess that's also a sort of language, maybe not in the literal sense, but it's informing it in a similar way. So.
I mean, I'm not an engineer or a tech person at all, but my question is, can you train AI to be more diversity hungry, or hungry for, or, you know, actually want to bring, you know, be not just satisfied with the kind of pale male stale version of the world, but actually, you know, actually be hungry for different perspectives?
I mean, I think so, but it's a big topic you just touched upon, like, because you asked, you know, can you ask the AI to have its own purpose? And that's something that most of the time we don't. It's just a chat box waiting for us to ask it something. But it doesn't have its own goals. So you know, asking it to kind of seek out diverse viewpoints or further its own learnings or something like that, I think that's like some next level stuff.
The next level.
And on the topic of kind of gesture and an expanded view of language, I love that. And now I'm thinking about it, like, how would you do it? Because most of the time they analyze text, or maybe they analyze images that are standing still. But for that, it's almost like you need movement. You need, you know, just the same way that it's analyzing a sentence and saying these 10 words follow each other, and so they have it figures out a computational meaning for it. It would have to look at someone gesturing like this in the context of someone else and say, this movement in this context, I don't know what it means, but it's going to keep training until it does something.
That's a good point as well,
who knows what it's going to find? Because we don't even know the language we speak. We just speak it as in kind of embodied form. So that's super interesting.
We don't have to think about how and why and what it's doing. But I mean, I think also the point about that our gestures relate to other people's gestures, so it can't be taken in isolation. Abe, have you got anything on any of these subjects subjects that we've been talking about?
Well, I don't know. I just want to touch upon the making the AI like more diverse.
Yeah.
I think that should be like the endless goal for it, right? Like having different opinions, right? Like it should be like, hey, I'm curious about it. Tell me more, and then I will adapt my opinion, get more knowledge. As you said, like that will be the finality, right?
Yeah.
Be more knowledgeable with different perspectives about things.
Yeah.
And then sort of being neutral, right? Like creating its own perspective in some sort of way. But I don't know if we have reached that point, like because we are the ones who are giving input to it, right?
I mean, is it the next level? Is it? I mean, you talked about giving AI a goal, and should we be giving AI the goals, or should it be just responding to our requests?
Yeah, for now I think we can drive their goal, right? Because it's more like input output.
Yeah.
So if we as people are more curious about it, I think it will be a reflection of us.
Okay, so it's a kind of like a mirror of society at large. Rano, did you want to say something? You're just nodding.
For me, like I would like the human in the loop at all times, because after all these models are meant for like human interactions, or like everything what we make is for humans. So taking human out of the loop and like letting the model to decide everything, that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't think about anything, like it doesn't have any morals, like nothing, like it's, people call it artificial intelligence, but I don't think it's like smart on its own. So you should have like for instance, what I consider as offensive might not be like the same for other people.
Yeah.
So if you're taking me out of the loop and you let the model which is trained by someone else who doesn't know anything about my background, so that can be a like real problematic. So you should always put human in the loop, but like the human should be aware of like what's happening, like how the decision making is happening.
Okay, so the AI needs to explain what it's doing to the human, keep the human in the loop. We've got a new face. We've got a new human in the loop. We've got Ranu, we've got Ethel, we have got Marcel, we've got Abe. Tell us your name, even though it's written there.
My name's Graham.
Graham, and we're talking about at the moment. We sort of started talking about AI in different languages, but then we kind of moved on to this idea that could AI be more kind of almost diversity hungry, and be, as part of its kind of, almost endless search for knowledge, actually look for, really seek out different cultures. But then there's another point from Ethel that, is it just about a text, but actually language is conveyed with gesture and in other forms as well, and there's other cultural elements that somehow could be folded into AI. And then Rana just made the point that we really need to keep the human beings in the loop and have the AI explain how it's coming to its conclusions. That's where we are right now.
And like not just text and gestures. Like for instance, like I worked in a non-profit, work on tribal rights back in India. So for them, they don't have any script. So they speak in a language, but if you ask them to write the script or like write something that you're speaking, they don't have any script. They don't have anything recorded.
Okay.
So they just like transmit the language, like oral.
Mouth to ear.
Yeah. So and like they teach the kids, like it goes on, and there is no written manuscript or any script, like any alphabets.
Yeah.
So like you're basically like all this technology like cannot be
completely alien for them. Yeah.
For them, like right. So and there is no way that those people can be represented in any of like this technology like development. But the thing is, you're forcing them to learn some other language just to use this these models.
I mean, we heard earlier on that Finland, everything you interact with your government, your taxes, any kind of forms is all online. But these people, if they lived in Finland, would be pretty stuck, wouldn't they? Because they have not got a written language.
In fact, like India is trying to push more and more digital. So that is really, really dangerous, because when you have a large scale of like illiterate and so when you say like you have to do online, so you're assuming that they have something like some computer or like some smartphones or something like iPads, and you have an access to the internet. So basically you're assuming a lot many things when you ask someone to do it online.
Okay, and there's people out there that have got no connection with any of that. It looks like you're shaping up to leave, so give us the final thought.
No, just something that's made me think about with this conversation is where the bias starts to begin with, and even to your point of like just letting AI do its thing, I feel is very dangerous. But just kind of tackling it at the root and who is actually building this technology. And maybe, again, I don't know, I'm not a technologist in that sense, but, you know, that's where the problem can be resolved rather than, you know, letting AI advance into whatever it becomes and then take on its mind of its own. So, yeah.
Okay, so that somebody needs to steer it in some direction. Yeah.
I have a fun one, and it ties back to what you said earlier.
Thank you. We'll give you a round of applause. What's happened to the... Oh, we lost power. Oh, the power's come out this way. I'll just plug it. Keep talking,
cool.
Marcel.
This one kind of relates to what you said earlier about how AI should be neutral. And it's like, you know, I would nod my head to that. Oh, yeah, AI should be neutral. But then, okay, fun time. Should it?
Yeah, I mean, what...
And in her topic about kind of like stopping bias, of course, that's an overarching goal for a lot of things because we have kind of unacknowledged bias in it. And if we let it make decisions for us without human intervention, then it kind of replicates and amplifies our own bias at scales, but it does it invisibly and stuff like that, and it's a black box. But the question is, like, should the goal be for unbiased AI? Or should it be something like, here's the kind of challenge,
a known
is it
bias.
something like we acknowledge that it will always have bias, and so what we do is design kind of counter-biasing systems instead of designing one perfect authority, almost like a AI god figure to make all the decisions. It's more like a parliament of different arguing voices that are kind of like counterpointing and stuff.
So instead of unbiased, counterbalancing biases, is that going to work? Can AI really be neutral? Can anything be neutral? I'm trying to be neutral here in the middle, but you know, sometimes you've got to throw things out there. Graham?
I think, to your point, I fully agree, right? Like, unbiased is only removing the bias that you know about, and every culture is different. One thing on the topic of like languages that's interesting as well, and I'm not Polish, but I've heard the story about like Google Maps in Poland up until recently was just, you know, turn left, you have arrived. Like they didn't attempt to vocalize the place names because there wasn't investment in the Polish language. And similar to like all these conversations about AI in different languages, even like text to speech, which is like a solved problem for English, in these niche languages, they're still lagging to where there's not investment to get it to the same level. And so we're going to continue to see this with AI too.
Okay, are you a speaker of any niche languages?
I'm a speaker of a niche Polish language in the Eastern dialect.
Have you ever driven using Google Maps?
I have actually.
In Poland on English?
I believe that may have been the case some time ago, but in the past few years I think it's changed. And what you get instead is like, turn left into something, you know, and it just sounds like a complete glitch. So I think, you know, I think the one thing is to have the, you know, literary information correctly, but then there's like the actual speaking element, and I think just because, you know, that interface, that how your language is being spoken with which accent, I think that makes a difference as well. It's going to be really funny because I've got this voiceover job for for Amazon Prime, which I am in two minds about, but they're paying good money, so I'll do it. But it's going to go into, you know, that's going to be kind of pushing their product to the Polish audience, so you know, but hopefully I can do it justice. But anyway, I'm poor, so it's okay. I'm just going to take the money. But you know, but I think it's just how language sounds. That's part of kind of decolonizing that space as well, not just like the actual core
Amazon
of the information.
Prime is decolonizing its vocal offer by getting.
Unfortunately, you know, this. You know, this is going to go through Amazon Prime, who are like big bad company, but you know, that's where their money is, so they will push technological developments, I think.
Okay, we've got a new face at the table. Welcome. This is Tolhuistuin, pop-up talk show. It can go anywhere, but right now we're talking about AI and diversity. Is there such a thing as a neutral technology, or as Marcel says, should there be actually a series of known biases and counter biases that we know about, and we're almost like a sort of biased AI, but we know it's biased. So yes, that's what we're talking about at the moment. And then we talked about Google Maps in Polish is a bit of a mess because it can't say whatever Przemyśl Street or whatever. And we've got Abe, we've got Marcel, we've got Ranu, and we've got Graham, and we've got Margot, and I'm Mikey, and what's your name?
Valentine.
Valentine, have you got any views on this, or do you want to just hang in on the conversation? Can AI be neutral? Can anything be neutral? That's what we're talking about at the moment. I'll let you hang in on the conversation. You had a point, Ranu.
So I don't think like the AI models are biased like on their own. So I don't believe in like biased models, but the thing is you train the model with the biased data.
Right.
So because the data is biased and the model is just learning from the data. So I think the data is problematic. You have to be mindful about like what data you're feeding the model to learn things. So if you send all the biased data, it will learn the biased information.
Yeah. But is there unbiased data to feed the model?
I mean, like what I saw like recently. See, I started recently like exploring, like reading about this. So you want to develop more and more advanced, like more and like you. For instance, like we have this notion of more data is necessarily mean more information. Not necessarily like that. So you're like just scraping the whole internet and just like feeding the model. So there's lots of misinformation online which we haven't addressed so far, and you collecting all that information and training the big models like ChatGPT now. So like obviously it will learn all the biases.
Okay, so it's just learning all the bad stuff that's out there on the internet. Should ChatGPT and other AI models have a narrower focus? What do people think? Valentine?
So ChatGPT is learning, you know, what you were saying, that it learns on the data that it can access. But I think what's really important to understand is that data is created, and what political systems and investment models actually pay for that content creation and that data collection. And that's where the biases are coming from. So if you're funding in AI or any type of tech is only going to industry, and a majority of...
Sorry, I'm trying to get more people to listen to your wise words, like this man over here. Come on, give us 2 minutes. Come on, you can do it. Yes, you can. Sorry about that, Valentine. You carry on.
That's okay. Just to give you an idea, 99% of the funding in artificial intelligence goes to the private sector in industry, where a majority of white men are with very specific business models collecting specific data with very those purposes. So obviously the results are going to be biased, because who is creating the model and for and collecting the data for what reason is the cause of the problem.
Okay, so it is about the data, but it's about who collects the data. We've got a couple of new faces. I'm going to do this very quickly. Oh, well, thank you, Valentine. We'll count that as a final thought. We'll give you a little round of applause. But we have got Graham, we've got Ranu, we have got Marcel, we have got Abe, and we've got Sam. And
Karine,
welcome. We're talking about AI, we're talking about language models, we're talking about... is there such a thing as a neutral AI? Ranu says it's not about the model itself can be neutral, but the data you feed it is severely biased. We just heard from Valentine that it's about the people that are commissioning the data. Tends to be capitalist white men. If other people were collecting the data, would it be less biased or biased in a different way? That's what we're talking about at the moment. Is the idea... Marcel says the idea is to have lots of... for him anyway, for lots of different biases that we know about, that at least we know, it's like the devil you know kind of idea. Yeah.
So hi everybody. I'm building a system to remove harassment from social media, starting with Twitter. So this is exactly where I should be. Yeah. So good. And the thing is, the data, the label is not correct. So you have to have a validation system before you enter the data. I'm building, I got 2 patents at Rock. So you need to validate the data, so have a system to validate the data, and you need also to validate the output, because you need to retrain the model. So you need a system, a regulation from before and after. The other things you need is when harassment is detected, to trigger an email to the teacher of the student, so the teacher can help the student.
Okay, so how you deal with that kind of negative spin. We've heard a lot about it actually today. I mean, it's interesting, just to go back to your point, Ranu, about in Ranu's native language, which is Telugu, there's just nothing to actually, there's no filter really, because no one cares about Telugu.
So this is the start of the project. So English first, and after all the language. And I need more people. I'm just me.
Okay, all right.
I have women who help me, but I'm just the only engineer. So I need people. And more people, more you can train first. You have the machine. You do it manually, and after you train the machine. But after that can be changed and be automated, and you can take any languages.
Okay, so you're willing for the Telugu challenge. Are you off, Ranu? Are you going to stay here? You're just moving your bag? Okay, just stay there.
Just have a meeting.
Oh, okay. So give us a final thought.
I mean, like, I don't think I have all the answers like ready for like how to fix the problems in AI. So, I mean, like, all I'm saying is like, just like how we have the diverse panel here. I think the people who makes decisions, like companies, big corporations, they should be mindful of the diversity. And they just can't like fix everything on their own. So you need to be more inclusive and like while developing the systems. And the thing is, you shouldn't develop something which you can't control. You shouldn't leave things out when you can't control when things go south. So that's like simple. And like I mean, like, that's it.
Okay, well, thanks for that. I mean, how do you know if you can control it is also a question. Are you offered, just give us a final thought before you go?
I can share a quick story.
Go on.
We had a job application where the person left at the bottom of it, written by, this was created by ChatGPT, which we thought was a major, like, everyone was like, oh my god. But there was a bit of me that thought, well, maybe they're being open about it. Maybe they're just saying, like, this is an application, but I'm being open about the fact that I've used ChatGPT. And I think that's the key, isn't it? Is you've got to be, if we're going to be using it, we need to be open about it. We need to be open about the biases, who made it, and all of that sort of thing. So at least we knew that person had.
Did they get the job?
Done it that way. Well, no. The decision was to not give him a job in that case. But and then I wanted to give him feedback. Feedback written by ChatGPT. But hey.
Come and join us. Thank you, Sam. There's a lot of questions. There's more questions than answers, as always. It's up to you where you want to take this discussion. Do we want to talk about this idea that Corinne mentioned about a sort of data badge or like validating the data before it even gets out there? Is that the way to remove biases? Do we want to talk about the diversity? Diversity's been a big theme today. Do we want to talk about AI models and neutrality? It's up to you where you want to take this conversation. I'm going to come to you, Graham, in a second, but let's just get some names. What's your name?
Quan.
And?
How.
Quan, how? We've got Abe, we've got Corinne, we've got Margot, we've got Marcel, we've got Graham, and me, Mikey. And what's your point, Graham?
Yeah, this is somewhat related to some of the stuff we've touched on, but just about sourcing the content. Because there's a lot of fear about, okay, well, once people aren't clicking through, right? They're not clicking through the news, they're not clicking through to these help guides. How's the revenue coming to generate the content? Because you never leave Bing or whatever search engine. And one
anybody here never leave Bing?
The future is not here yet. But the tad bit of hope that I did see was, I mean, money is what moves things a lot of the time, and I saw cases where these companies were generating their own content for like SEO and search engine optimization. And they were mad about Bing stealing this content and sometimes misattributing it to other people. but they also spend a lot of money on ads. And that was a tad bit of hope because, you know, the desires of the small independent journalists or small websites aligned with these people who are also giving Bing a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, at least now they have someone who's threatening to pull money from them.
So in a way, it's having the common enemy.
Yeah, and so hopefully they're, because there's money at risk, maybe now they'll start working on, oh yeah, you can exclude. Whereas before, like, oh yeah, you can make a lot of noise about it, but who's actually gonna care at Bing, right?
Yeah.
But when their money starts to go away, that's when.
So when money gets involved, it actually can be help things get on your side. I mean, what do people think? What new people around the table? Does any of this strike a chord with you? Are you concerned about any of these things? About the diversity of AI? About the veracity of the data?
Yeah, diversity definitely.
Yeah.
And there's so many questions around that. In terms of like, how do we fight against that? Like, is it bottoms up or tops down? And yeah, I mean, that's a big question, and I don't necessarily have the answer to that.
I mean, what's your feeling about it? Because you know what, everyone's saying around this table, you're like the fifth person saying, I don't have the answer to this, but maybe together we've got bits of the answer. So what's your little bit of the answer? What's your feeling about it?
My feeling, well, I want to take a stance more on the arts perspective, and I think what's interesting right now in generative AI, of course, there's a lot of discussion about like AI stealing the role of the artist, but I think there's more that can be done in terms of like how we can collaborate with AI, because the role of the artist, I was just talking with her actually, that the role of the artist, we reflect society, and right now AI is doing a large part of that in terms of reflecting our humanity, reflecting back the biases that are ingrained in across so many years, and like right now it's just, what do we do with that reflection? How do we not only just improve the data sets, but how do we work on a systemic level? Okay, so there's so many things, and I mean, you're the first person to mention art today. It did get mentioned yesterday, but I mean, what is the role of art and creativity in reflecting or, you know, solving some of these problems? We've got a new face over here. What's your name? Hugh. We have got Graham, we've got Margot, we've got Abe, we've got, what's it again? How. We've got Marcel, we've got Kwon, and I'm Mikey. And at the moment we're talking about AI, how to, you know, can it be steered? Is it inevitably going to be biased? Is there a role for art in actually not necessarily addressing the bias, but showing up these biases and reflecting some of the biases in our society that lead to the problems that So that's where we are. It's Marco.
I mean, I'm interested in this idea of art, but I like your comment that, you know, artists do reflect the society, the world that we live in, and as it happens, our world is more, I don't know, has got a lot more AI and technology and digital world attached to it as part of it, and I wonder whether that's going to make all the other parts of art just obsolete, because you know. That's it. I
mean, will AI be doing our art in the future? And what will artists be doing if AI is doing the art? You've got an answer to that. Let's just get a new face. What's your name?
Rafia.
Rafia. Okay. We've got. Give us a final thought. You kind of shifted the conversation onto art and creativity. So let's drop something in.
Yeah, I guess on whether if AI will replace the role of artists, I don't think so. I think we're always continually like trying to find new ways to create, and AI now becomes another tool. Another tool that we work with, and another tool. Is it going to be the only tool in your artist kit, or are there going to be other tools, or is it just going to be all the paintbrushes are gone and all the sculpting tools are gone and we've just got AI? If you look at like photography, like there's a lot of AI tools being used in photography now, generating images, but you still see people involved in film photography. It becomes more of like a hobby, and I think there's going to be more of a distinction between crafts, like really fine arts, crafts, really for people who are into these niche, really skill-based, and fast-paced art, like AI art that just gets generated really quickly.
Okay, so AI art is fast-paced. Marcel, you wanted to say something. We'll give you a round of applause. Sorry, I've been very slow on the buttons today. But
On the question of AI art and if it's going to replace artists, I like the idea that a lot of people that otherwise would be very creative are actually held back by a skill gap. So they might have an amazing vision, but they weren't privileged enough to have like an upbringing which trained them for 20 years in order to have the skills to pick up a paintbrush, and so they can't realize their vision. And in the past they couldn't realize their vision. Maybe they could hire someone and try and describe it. But with tools like AI and AI powered tools, then now that skill gap is decreased, and so the average person can start creating and can start expressing themselves in different way, hopefully without impinging on other people's intellectual property. But it can actually get them excited about doing something that they would otherwise give up on.
So what Kwan was talking about as a fast-paced creativity can actually help feedback and bring more people into that creative space. So in your mind, it's actually quite a good thing. Any other views on AI art?
I think I discussed this with my friend because we were working as artists, so it's quite sometimes quite amazed by how AI technology is developed, especially if you are an illustrator, graphics designers. Then it's crazy shocked by AI, what AI could do actually. But it's like what you said, so it's for maybe not for professional artists, for normal people, they would have a great tool for them to develop hobbies. But still, great artists will still stay great. And then the not so good designers and artists, they are like would be in kind of the career troubles. They have to find a new way. Probably before they can do the illustrator for publishers or magazines or online website. And now is AI can do the 1 second just 100 images.
I mean, just say, for example, just hypothetically, if I'm an artist, but I'm not a great artist, but an okay artist, what do I actually do now that AI has taken my job? How do I evolve?
It really depends which area you're working. So if you are mainly working on graphics, maybe you should think about something else.
Well, that's true, but what else can you think about? Can you still do something in graphics?
This is just a small quip on the artist topic, but like we've been able to build robots that can spill paint for a very long time, and some people do that as their art project, but there's still people who are like splattering it with a paintbrush, and that's still novel and unique in the way they do it. And so I think it's just another format, like you all have been saying. But
okay, so it won't necessarily, it just might make that paint splattering or that graphic design a bit more niche. I think somebody said niche. It becomes more niche as a job, but could it still be a job?
He said something about people who don't have access to the skills to learn in their childhood. So I'm from that background where I didn't have access to arts and crafts or whatever. We just focus on theory books that were 30 years outdated. So like I am excited about what AI can do for a person like me. Maybe a person like me can finally believe that I can be an artist, although I can't be personally. But like other people
you find out.
But also I like saw this meme about how we wanted tech to automate stuff, chores, that humanity has, so we can focus on artistic things. But now AI is focusing on art while we are still doing day-to-day chores, like so maybe.
So art's got a bit middle class, I mean, so AI's got a bit middle class, and it doesn't want to do the boring stuff anymore.
So like we are, majority of us are middle class, so we want AI to do kind of those things, so we can maybe have time to do art. But like. Okay,
so should AI be focusing on the more boring stuff, on the like the taxes we were talking about earlier on, or?
I think it's just such an excellent point. I mean, like, and also how you kind of said it, like, is AI getting more middle class?
It's got more middle class aspirations.
It's got choices, But I mean, I guess, do we make AI to imitate people, or are we kind of creating something kind of brand new? And that there goes the question whether we want AI to be always I don't know, be as close to truth and be as right as possible, because we're not always right and we are biased as human beings. So is the AI just a better version of us, or is it just as bad as us or as good as us?
Well, I think what we've heard so far is it's a faster version of us. That's what you've been saying, isn't it? And Kwan as well, that it just, I mean, it's a bit like the Homer Simpson line, there's a right way, a wrong way, and a max power way, and the AI is doing it in the max power way.
I have a question. Why we need to be fast?
Why?
Why? I don't know why.
Do you want to slow it down?
Because I think good art always takes time. Good design also. I don't know why. That's why I think the AI cannot replace the good artists.
Because it's too fast. Is it too fast?
Then we live in capitalism.
But I think the time is not only the standard to calculate.
Okay. What were you going to say, Rafa?
Yeah, I was just saying that we do live in a capitalist world, so we can say artists should aspire to make great art, but the artist also has to make a living. So so speed.
So AI has to make a living as well. Right. Well, at least for the people investing in it. Where do we want to go with this conversation? Any thoughts? I feel like this side's not as interested in the AI art. Have you got any interest in AI, Abe?
No. Yeah. I think it's going to be a fabulous time for artists because it's going to be like a new tool for them, right? Because I remember as well, like in the past, I had a teacher who was making art through like the rusting of metals through time.
Right.
But he had a lot of like research, lots of years studying metal and how it's going to be rusting and everything to create art. But for example, if he had a tool like an AI to give him like some feedback or some knowledge about it, he could shorten that time and then create something bigger and start focusing on bigger things. So it's going to be a tool for you to create like new things at a max speed, again, like productivity as well.
Yeah. Okay, so actually maybe even things like rusting metal and working with in any kind of imaginative way, AI could potentially help that as well.
For me, I think I'm like not that interested into AI generated art because essentially I don't think they are art, because art to me they always need kind of human touch in it. If it's created by machine or algorithms, it's more like imageries or I don't know, visuals or marketing materials.
It's not art simply because
it's not really art, because it's. I think they can still be very powerful and useful in terms of saving cost, increasing efficiency, generating a lot of imageries for marketing or magazines, whatever. But when it comes to art, when you comes to something that needs to be appreciated by a real human, it has to be done by a real human. I do believe that this also won't change by how great AI can be. Even AI can make a perfect duplicate of Mona Lisa. It's still not Mona Lisa, right? So I think that's the point there. So if we are gonna, I do believe that humanity as a whole, we appreciate that. So we're not gonna allow AI to take over our only part that's really human. That's only us. So,
Okay, so we need to protect and preserve our really human bits. Is AI going to take over your job? Is it going to take over your lunch as well? It's another question. Marcel, I feel like you want to say something.
Yeah, on the topic of AI art, I think maybe there's a distinction, AI art and design, between. It sounds like there's a distinction between the needs that companies have to produce a thing, or to kind of. I would normally hire a person to produce this good, this graphic, this whatever it might be, versus. So they will always try to go for something faster, cheaper, kind of automated, if that's aligned with their brand or whatever. But then there's a separate thing that are kind of like the needs of the artist. So the artist didn't necessarily go into it in order to create the final product. The artist is often in it in the process of making art. So if you said that, hey, no, don't worry about this thing that you've been laboring over for a year. How about we just finish it in 1 second? They'll be like, well, where would that's going to rob me of the artist's journey. Like, this is a mythological journey I'm going on of self-discovery. Like, art is about the artist mostly and about their expression. And so that's something that I think AI can kind of modify in interesting ways, because we can express ourselves using AI powered tools, but it will never fully replace. And so I don't think AI will replace artists, even if it can generate something that resembles their art.
Okay, that's a good point. A very good point. Okay, and it's all about the process. Any artist? Are you an artist? Is it about the process for you? And does AI kind of take out the fun and the struggle in that artistic process?
Of course, there's a lot of fun and struggles, and I think the biggest struggle is what she just said about how to make art for living.
Yeah.
It's we cannot. So I agree. So maybe AI can help artists to make a living because that's so fast. They can produce a lot of the work. We can sell it, then we can spend more time on our self creation, something like that. But I think I really agree. So for any artist, this process is much more important than the results. That's why it's when you always reflect on what you did, what you are doing, what you want to do. It's the process is the most valuable things, and then will guide you to the place actually where you belong.
Okay, so it is a journey. So in a way, you're concurring. Anyone want to add anything to the artist's process, the artist's journey?
It just reminds me of an example I heard this morning about a influencer using her data and voice to train AI model to make a virtual herself. Then she authorized this kind of virtual self to kind of have a virtual date with anybody on the internet and charge them for, I don't know, $25 per hour. So maybe just a kind of example, like if you're an artist.
It's a way to make some money. Maybe it's not what you had in mind as an artist, but it's a good business model, potentially.
I do see, like, I'm a designer, like user experience designer, so I'm not an illustrator, but I do see many illustrators have a kind of certain style of the illustration. So if you can use your style to train AI to learn your style, then you can generate another images with the same style. You can easily mass produce your style to meet any needs. So
okay, so you don't necessarily need to charge people for dates, but as an artist you can train the AI to continually replicate things in your own style. Welcome to the conversation. We have got Margot, we've got Rafia. We want a final thought from you before you go. Give us a final thought.
Again, for mundane things, yes to AI, but for art, please leave it to people like her.
Okay, leave art to the artists. Don't let AI dabble in art. It's not ready. It's too fast. Tell us your name.
I'm Roger.
Roger, we have got Marcel, we've got Hal, yes, and Abe, and we've got Margot, and we've got Graham, and you, and I'm Mikey. And at the moment we're talking about AI and art, and there's a key point I think from Marcel that art is all about process and about an artist's journey. So if AI does it, it doesn't go on this long journey of discovery like people like you have already gone on. And actually, that process is really important, but there's also this point, maybe you could, once you've gone through the process, maybe that's the time to bring in the AI, just to then continually replicate your more mature style of work.
But I mean, it just depends. But you can join us if you want to. You've got a camera, maybe you're an artist too, I don't know. But I think art, you know, it's not just images, I don't think. I like, for instance, I make performance, and you know, it's boring and it's not art until somebody comes to the show that I've put on and they've been through something together with me as an artist, but also other people in the room when you share the space. And I think that, I mean,
can the AI ever do that? Could you have an AI performance?
Well, we can have an AI performance, but the feeling, you know, there's something that makes us human. I don't know. There's somebody was talking about electric resonance that we have. You know, you can't do that in other way by just simply sharing space with people. But I just want to put it out there. There's other arts than just representative kind of like visual art.
Okay, so it's not just the visual art. Maybe that's the kind of thin end of the wedge for AI. Roger, have you got any views on this so far? Are you just going to listen in at this point?
Well, I have to register because I have to get in. But the whole AI discussion in art, it feels a little bit like I'm old. So when I started in music, then there was music, and I'm a hip hop man. And then came turntables, and they said, "What are you doing?" Then came samplers, and said like, "You cannot replace that." Then came quantifying beats, and then went like, "That's not an artist." Then came auto-tune and said, "You can't sing like that." So for me, AI is just a development in that thing, and you know. Just, and, you know, artists will deal with it, make new things, create new boundaries, and it's nothing to be scared of. It's just another wave.
Okay, it's just the next thing in that series. Next thing after auto-tune. Thank you, Roger. Thanks for joining. We'll hit you with a round of applause. Oh, we're going to give you in a way, there's something nice about the virtual round of applause as well. Great.
Yeah, just building off a little bit what's been said, like, for me, I think it's very easy to just draw the line between, like, the human behind it. So, an Instagram feed that is just, like, someone spitting out every day randomly generated, dolly images, that's not art. But if someone sells me on, like, oh, no, this is a process I went through, they could use it as a tool, or even if they like went through and were like crafting it a particular way, if they sell me on that, right, I could still believe that's art. It's more about the person behind it and what they went through.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a story going on. There's a bit of a story. The story's got to be right. Maybe that's the next thing we could train the AI on, is generating a...
I think I have example. There's an artist, he actually write down every days. So the days, the character of the today's dates with today's newspaper. So he was keeping doing this for like 30 years. So if you do 1 day or 2 days, probably that's not art, just something. But if you do 30 years, then...
At what point did he break through and did it become art? At what point was it like after 3 months, a year, 2 years? At what point did it become like now this has got to be art because someone...
Because I don't know what that artist was thinking, but I was also working a project. I collect my everyday waste for 100 days.
Right.
Every piece of waste. So for me, it's so suffer process. And in this suffering process, you really reflect on your own feeling. So what I'm doing here, why I'm doing this, so what's the point of doing this, how I feel. So you really focus on really subtle feeling, and what I'm doing actually can impact on the environment. There's small things can become super huge. So that's why I feel this processing is the time is very important.
Okay, that's a really good point. Talking about time, maybe it is time to go and get lunch because we've only got our free lunch until... But hang on, we've still got time for a final thought from each and every one of you. That's very important so we can digest properly on those final thoughts. So let's get a final thought from everybody. Looks like you're the most quickest. Can you give us a final thought before you go?
I was told here is about voice technology. This is talking about the voice technology?
No, we can talk about that, but we talk about anything here. Okay. So this is Tokyoki Pop-Up Talk Show.
So that was quite a surprise for me to come here to talk about AI and the technology again. I think at least for me, I never worry about AI. So for me, AI is like a Photoshop 20 years ago or 10 years ago, or the After Effects like 10 years ago. So it's just a tool.
What do you, if you don't worry about AI, what do you worry about?
I'm quite worried about human actually.
Yeah,
because I'm working on environmental project, so that is most let me desperate things. So I cannot make a world better. Design cannot make the world better. That's something I feel really desperate. Not about AI.
It's about human beings trashing the world.
So what we are doing right now? What's the impact from what we are doing?
Okay, thank you. That's good final thought. We're going to hit you with a round of applause as well. Have you got, Graham, have you got a final thought?
Well, let's see. For me, kind of tying off what you were saying, I think we have to be careful not to let AI dominate all of our conversations, right? Like, we've had these conversations about impacts of social media, environmental disasters, all these things have been going on. And AI is pressing, and it's going to develop really fast, but we can't let, like, all these other issues fall by the wayside just because AI will shake up a lot of things, but there's still going to be other underlying issues going on.
Okay, I mean, can it allow us to reflect on some of these, in Yu's mind, bigger issues about environmental damage, about human collaboration? Can AI somehow help us reflect on that?
I'll do my final thing, and that's a perfect segue. Yeah. I think AI is going to become more than just a tool to get things done.
Yeah.
I think we don't realize how much it's going to prove to be like the ultimate mirror of our own kind of like consciousness. So we end up getting to know ourselves in a very uncomfortable way in a lot of ways, as it shows us. It trained itself on us, or at least on our thoughts and speech and products and stuff like that. Then we're going to ask it to do things, and it's going to show a side of us that we might not be ready to handle. And so we're witnessing the emergence of a new kind of form of consciousness over time, and it's going to be a hell of a ride.
Okay, so it could be a new type of mirror of our inner soul in a way. Final thought?
I think just want to maybe echo on what Graham just mentioned a little bit. Like when you are, when there's so much information about AI, about technology, about those trends going on, I would like to have a moment of blackout, just blocking all those things, like focusing on what matters, what really matters in my life. Just have a few weeks without any access or concern about all the things. Just and then after that, you still think okay, things are right, and
So you just need a break, really? Is that what you're saying?
Okay. Need a break.
Yeah. Okay, Abe, final thought?
I don't know. Back at what you were saying, I think it's exciting times on with AI, also on how we're gonna evolve as humans through society.
Yeah.
And also, first of all, hopefully for me, I think it's gonna help us being self-critical and thinking about the patterns that is detecting on all the data and asking us questions, like critical questions, and also looking for more answers, like being open to changing opinion and making us do that the same. Like, hey, I'm detecting this. Are you okay with this? This is happening, and evolving on those things.
Okay, so it's a really good point. Will AI make us more open, or can AI make us more open-minded? And what will that look like as well? So some really good strands. Maybe we'll talk about in the next session. A final thought, Margot?
Yeah, I mean, funny what you said about, this kind of holding up mirror to us, maybe for the things that we don't want to see about ourselves. We actually started off this session like a couple of hours ago talking about adverts and how adverts kind of target us. We don't fully know why, but when you start thinking about it, it kind of starts doing that. It's like, is this who I am? And I think that's scary, but also quite fun. I think it will take us or push our limits, in terms of consciousness. So I'm excited for it.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to the poetry that comes out of it.
Okay. AI poetry. We'll see what happens. Human poetry. Human poetry about AI. Yeah. I'm not gonna. I'll have to think about that and come back after the break. In the meantime, thanks everybody. We'll be back. Thanks, and it's been a pleasure to talk to each and every one of you, and we will be back after lunch.
Grab a card, give us a follow on Instagram or other AI-run platforms, and we'll be here today and tomorrow. So
Thank you.
Right. So let's kick this off. Welcome to Tolhuistuin. It is a pop-up talk show. People over there on the bench, you come and join us. Come and join us. Yeah, why not? Both of you. Yeah, come along. Yeah, definitely. Both of you. Both of you are welcome to join the Tolhuistuin table. You can put your food here. You can put your drink here. It's completely fine. Come and join us. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? You just get involved in a conversation. That's what's happening. They're thinking about it. I'm just going to commentate on them eating cucumbers. Okay. All good. Okay, so we're ready for anybody to come and join us at any point. So we've got first person around the table. Give us your name.
Hi, I'm Mikey.
Hello, Mikey. My name is Margot. So, at the moment, Mikey, you may not know this, but we don't actually have a subject on the table. Obviously, there are these people over there. They're eating their cucumbers, and they're welcome to do it. This is a cucumber-safe zone. We don't have a subject. So, any ideas?
I'm a big fan of cucumbers, I have to say. I love the cucumber because it's a savoury. Well, it's not actually a vegetable, but it's normally in the vegetable department.
Right.
At least in the UK. Mm-hmm. Like when you go to the self-service checkout and you select vegetables for cucumbers.
Okay, there's a very person with an interest in their mind. I wonder if they like cucumbers, but there's no point me even trying to speak to them because they've got headphones in. Yeah. But so this is interesting. Cucumber, is it actually a vegetable?
in some ways it's a vegetable, in some ways it's a fruit. Depends who you ask. You know, I wouldn't get bogged down in definitions. It's a bit like AI. You know, is it just statistics? Is it a real living consciousness? It depends. You know, people have talked a lot about it in different ways, and that's just human beings. How we like to talk about things in an undefined way.
So is it about storytelling? Is it about being relative about lots of different things? Also, like, what are the signs that something is one thing other than the other? Yeah.
No, it's just like we don't worry about these details. Come and join. This is Tolhuistuin. Yes.
Come and join us. First of all, first question: what is cucumber fruit or a vegetable in your opinion? And give us your name as well.
Varun, and I think it's a vegetable.
Vegetable. What makes you think it's a vegetable? Because Mikey here says that it's actually depending on your perspective. It's a grey area. It could be vegetable, but it's actually probably a fruit.
That's actually a good thing to point out, because the thing is, the vegetables don't tend to have seeds inside of it. But fruits do, most of them.
Okay, so that's the kind of
possibility.
Okay, and how can you differentiate a good AI and a human? Is it also about seeds inside? Like, what are the kind of? Grab a seat for 2 seconds of your time.
I'm heading out for a meeting, so that's why I'm in a hurry to head out. But
okay, well,
I can answer that question for you.
Yeah.
There is a way to trick the AI as of now. Essentially, you have to fact check its information. You give it something very tricky and let it fact check itself.
Okay, so it's about fact checking. It's not about seeds inside. But thank you very much. I hope you have a fruitful meeting or vegetable-full meeting. And meanwhile, we've got a new person around the table. You just joined a Tolhuistuin, a pop-up talk show. We've got Mikey. I'm Margot. What is your name?
I am Ryan.
Hey Ryan, welcome. So at the moment we've been talking about a few things, and this is only a beginning of the second session. We have been talking about cucumbers. Are they fruit? Are they vegetables? Actually, what makes something a fruit or a vegetable? Is it, as Ranji said, about the seeds inside? And also, what differentiates a real person from an AI? And by the way, you can come and join us. This is just a harmless talk show. You're welcome to join. So this is where we are at right now. Where do you stand about fruit, vegetables, or AI versus real humans?
I think the fruit thing is interesting. In my mind, I think we sort of culturally think of cucumbers as vegetables. In reality, they're berries. So that makes a difficult question of, are all berries kind of fruit? And do you have, like, what qualities maybe scientifically differentiates a vegetable from a fruit, and what qualities culturally or socially differentiate a fruit versus a vegetable, which I guess is actually an interesting segue into how you identify what humanity is almost, or what it means to be conscious, or what it means to be alive. There might be a scientific line, but there's also cultural and social lines that define that as well.
Okay, I mean, this is a really lovely segue. Very, very nice. If you don't, is this something you were trying to say, Mikey? No, but this is a very interesting point. You know, is it a cultural thing? What we assign to things, fruit, vegetables, berries, people, is it part of our culture? Yeah.
I think this is a bit about, you know, in a way, AI has taught us this, that language works not in a very kind of factual way, but in a more, you know, blurred meaning way. You know, it's like that every word has got lots of different meanings depending on the context, and you know, even the same sentence, the same words can be interpreted in different ways.
Yeah, but is it a question of language then, or is it a question of interpretation, and depending on what kind of cultural or reference points you have?
No, I mean, like, for example, earlier on today at breakfast you said, "I'll get it," which I took to mean, I don't know, one thing. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was like you said something like that, or you said, "I'll do that," and actually I didn't know what that was, and I thought you were talking about something else. So, but we always say those things all the time. We throw some words together, and we expect people to mean it in a particular way, but actually that utterance can have lots of different meanings.
Okay, so maybe so maybe there's this kind of like misinformation or disinformation or assumptions that we're talking about. I mean, Ryan, have you ever had a situation where you meant one thing but it was interpreted, not misinterpreted, just interpreted in a different way?
Yeah, I have a couple of examples. I think in American English, it's very common to say "I'm good" or "I'm okay," as in I don't want something or I don't need something. But here and in other places I've noticed when you say, if someone asks you, oh, would you like another coffee? And you say, I'm good. What I really means I don't want another one. But here they're saying, oh, you're good, so I'll give you another coffee because the last coffee was good. Yeah. Part of that is sort of like we're alluding to is that words might have like specific kind of lexical meanings, right, or semantic meanings, but at the end of the day, the meaning is not derived from the dictionary, it's derived from the people that put it in the dictionary. And words, of course, mean different things, and they give people different feelings.
Yeah.
People have, you can say words too, like about animals, for example, depending on where you're from. Tigers might mean something. Or
well, actually, I'm going to ask this person here. So, welcome, this is Pop-Up Talk Show. We've got Mike, you've got Ryan, I'm Margot. What is your name?
April. Hi, yeah, I'm April Williams.
April, welcome. Come and join us for 2 seconds at the moment. Yeah, just literally But like, do it in slow-mo, yes, Mike.
That's the thing, it's like, we say come and join us for 2 seconds. What we actually mean is come and stay for as long as you want to stay. But when we say 2 seconds, we take it as a kind of...
Is it a provocation?
Yeah, it's a kind...
I want to catch on. Okay, I'm gonna...
All right, we'll give us an initial and final thought.
Yeah, give us something.
What do I watch? I don't know.
Yeah, what did you do today?
Oh, what did I do today? Oh, some great stuff. But I missed one that I really wanted to go to. Was like how to get people to understand the ethics of AI, and I forgot who was doing it. But anyway, I missed it because I was leading one, and that's the thing about MozFest. There's so many good things at. Yeah, exactly. A lot of good things, which is not a bad problem to have.
Well, thank you, April, for go on.
What we do here is we tend to just make up what we think the talks might have been.
Absolutely.
So we can do that for you if you want. We can just make it up what they might have said.
Yeah. So, I mean, before April joined and kind of went away again, there's a few things actually on the table. So, first one was the kind of how do we decide things are one thing, not the other. Then we were talking about the language, and actually, you were talking about this. There's the kind of the literal meaning, the lexical meaning, I think you said, and then there's there's this kind of more elusive way of understanding, which is what caused you some kind of turmoil at breakfast, where you thought one thing, something. No.
No, I'm used to it. It didn't cause me turmoil, but it happens all the time. Almost, we can interpret things in so many different ways that in a way, we're just used to that kind of idea.
But is that something that AI is likely to get used to? I mean,
I don't think AI understands in a deep sense, so it doesn't have that problem because it just comes up with the most probable answer. So it doesn't worry about what that really means or not.
Okay, so it's just kind of like reflecting something that's fed to it. I'm not an AI expert. Are you, Ryan? What are you an expert on?
I don't like to use the term expert a lot,
good,
but
I hate it.
I have my training in data science, and now I work as a ML or AI engineer for an education company, actually. So I would say my expertise right now is the responsible and appropriate use of AI or machine learning based technologies in education or higher education.
Okay, and how is it going? Is it just something that is just being readily embraced, or is it still quite a new thing? And meanwhile, whilst we're parking this thought, because this is very interesting, we've got new people joining us. It's like hundreds of people suddenly, all of a sudden. So welcome to Tolhuistuin. We've got Mikey, we've got Ryan, I'm Margot, and we've got
Chris.
Thank you, Chris, and
Yes, sir.
Yes, and welcome. And right now we've been talking about, you work in AI and in education, in a way, coming from data science background. But before we got there, we were talking about, what makes things what they are. Is it a question of literal meaning? Is cucumber a vegetable because all the shops in the UK say cucumbers under the vegetable section, and how do we? can we actually teach the AI to differentiate the literal meaning from the implied meaning, just from something that comes culturally? I think you said, we just get used to ideas. Well, no. Okay.
I don't think so. I think things have meaning because of a historical, cultural trajectory, and AI doesn't have that.
So is it just a question of time? AI just needs to be around for enough time to kind of build those layers of references, almost like build its own history, or is it like gone? It's just never going to get it. And I'll come to you, Mikey, just one second.
I don't think it's possible because There's this, I forgot who it was, but there was this really good paper that AI is a figure without a ground, and that means that AI can't relate to itself historically, and humans can.
Okay, so maybe that's something that we've got in common there. I mean, you're shaking your head, Chris. I mean, Mikey, you wanted to say something, but yeah, go on, Chris.
I think most models of AI that are currently out there are only as good as their training data, based on either how that's classified or what they've been provided to train with. Mm-hmm. And once again, they're not understanding how that data was generated. They just know that everyone seems to agree a cucumber is a vegetable.
Okay, so I mean, if we teach it to AI, surely we'll start,
If it's got all the data from all the supermarkets with their self-service checkouts, it's all in every single one in the UK, and every single one, Tesco's, Lidl, Aldi, all of them, they've all classified cucumber as a vegetable.
But what about? I mean, we had people from Kyrgyzstan, Nairobi.
Yeah, I don't know that. I've not been to those countries, but. Yeah, so in a way that makes, it's not AI, but it just makes a cucumber a vegetable. Whether scientifically it's a vegetable or not is not really relevant, because the majority of people are saying it's a vegetable.
Okay, so if enough people say a cucumber is a vegetable, that's maybe that's a vegetable. I mean, Chris, you were vehemently shaking your head.
My question is, can the AI remember to swipe its nectar card?
Oh wow, we've got a sound effect for that. No. Oh shucks, no, because it's upside down. Sorry. Anyway, no. I just wanted that.
Anyway,
this one. Anyway, but what I wanted to say, but you said a very interesting thing that, you know, it's a figure without history, right? That's AI, and I wondered, like, in the life of AI, because I'm not an expert, I don't know if you can tell, but have there been any momentous events? I mean, obviously in humanity there have been some momentous events, but you know. Does that exist in AI? I'll come to you and I'll come to you, Mikey.
I mean, as a field, possibly, but it's not like there's any one such thing that is an AI. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, it's a misnomer anyway. And I think that's what I was going on about yesterday. Mm-hmm. The thing about metaphor is, I think, super important, because when you start to misunderstand the thing that you're talking about with what it is, then that becomes really tricky, and you lose all hold on what you're actually talking about, kind of. So, like, there's a brilliant paper from 1976, I think. It's like when I think when artificial intelligence meets natural stupidity. It's a brilliant paper, and it's just unpicking all of those, like, why do we say learning? Why do we say understanding? None of those apply. It's circuits and silica. Like,
yeah. Okay, so that's really interesting. I mean, Ryan, you kind of, are you in agreement? I mean, because you work in education. I mean.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think a couple things that bother me about how people talk about AI is kind of like you said, AI is a misnomer. I used to say when I was a consultant that AI is something that exists in PowerPoints and not actually in the real world. But it brings me to an interesting idea is once we get into the future, and for example, as we start to use terms like understanding or knowing or knowledge when it comes to AI, will we still be able to keep that separation of what the word knowledge means between knowledge is something that is learned by organisms or by humans in particular, or it's collectively shared, or is it something that is fundamentally different? Like, how will the definitions of intelligence, knowledge, even feeling change in the next 15-20 years?
Okay, what's the definition of knowledge? That's what we're talking about. Has it changed? Do you have any ideas? What is knowledge? Do you have knowledge? Does anything have knowledge? Does your AI have knowledge? Come and join us for 2 seconds. It's a pop-up talk show. It's a very harmless thing, actually, Mikey.
Taxi drivers have got the knowledge.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's not what I wanted to say, though. But I think the problem is that, you know, like we were talking yesterday about artificial intelligence. The term was coined in order to get funding from Dartmouth University, because it's a sexy word for.
Are they really loaded then as a result of that?
They were loaded. I don't know why they need that much funding actually, because it's a loaded university anyway. But but that's not the point. The point I'm making is that. In the end, our language is not so specific and accurate. So, you know, all the time, like even when you're just using the self-service checkout, you're going, it doesn't understand. We know that even if you know technically you're just trying to scan a barcode for some reason, you still use that terminology because we are by nature inaccurate even.
Oh,
and we're
as exemplified.
Yeah,
just
we are and we're just sloppy with terms because that's just how people talk. And if we talked in a very accurate way, it would be very incredibly frustrating.
Would that be a bit too robotic? I don't know, does that expression, but Chris?
Yeah, I think I've gone blank. No, an interesting test of whether or not they're intelligent or whether they have knowledge. I would ask everybody to ask ChatGPT, for example, to give them a tour of their own neighborhood, to ask about the sites that are worth seeing, because it often mixes up real details about actual sites with geographical fantasies to provide you what you want. So it's a probabilistic method, trying to dissociate things that it sees are related in texts and lists on the internet and the training data, and makes up an answer you want to hear.
Okay, so has anyone ever taken a ChatGPT to task and asked it to, give you a tour of your neighborhood? Yes,
I haven't done that. I just wanted to quickly jump on what Ryan said, because I think that's really important, and it also connects what you were saying. Like, the danger isn't that ChatGPT or technologies like that become more and more like us. The danger is that we're becoming more and more like them, kind of like that we're getting format. And that's not my point, that's Shannon Valor's point, just to drop a name.
Yep.
But like the way that these technologies format what you need to do to get them to do what you want to do, right? That kind of channels things like intelligence into thinking that, oh, ChatGPT is intelligent, so that's now the new measuring stick for intelligence, kind of like. So like that's really important, I think.
I mean, go on, Ryan.
I think another thing too is we try, and this is mostly purely from a marketing or sort of social study standpoint, is we try and assess how well technologies like ChatGPT or Bard or whatever other of those large language models exist. We assess them in terms of literal assessments or exams. How good are they at performing the math Olympiad, or how good are they at like the biology Olympiad or things like that. And that begs the question of, does that also show intelligence? It shows intelligence for humans because of the ability to grasp concepts and have interdisciplinary knowledge and connections. But in the future, and this is part of what we're working on in AI in education, is how much of the future of education is based on exams, and are exams or other things the best way to show intelligence, or are there other more social or communicative ways of doing that?
Okay, that's really excellent. Maybe education could benefit from this kind of like storytelling way. Okay, give us a final thought before you go. Anything, just drop any bombs.
Ryan's point was excellent. The way that education and intelligence, supposed intelligence being measured, is tied up in a logic that just leads to the end times and the fall of all.
Okay, what's the solution? Do you have any solutions you can drop?
Socialism?
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. We've got a button for that. Come and join us if you like. This is a pop-up talk show.
You don't have to be a socialist.
You don't have to be a socialist. Meanwhile, we've got some points. I'll introduce everyone very shortly.
I think one of the useful things that language models and chatbots can do is to acknowledge their own limitations explicitly. But we as humans are not very good at registering those. We click through the terms and conditions. We click through the cookie pop-ups. As an AI language model, yeah, give me the goods. I just want an answer.
Okay, so meanwhile, I'm just going to introduce everyone. So we've got Chris, we've got Mikey, we've got Ryan. My name is Margot. What's your name?
And I'm Fred.
Fred, and
Alex.
Alex, welcome. So at the moment we have been talking about AI, actually, believe it or not, coincidence, I don't know. But AI actually is better than humans, says Alex, because it acknowledges its own limitations. However, we started off actually doing about vegetables and fruit, taking cucumber as an example. Does cucumber actually know in the UK, where it's commonly referred to as a vegetable, doesn't know it's actually a fruit, doesn't know its limitations? We don't know this. We're talking about AI in education. We have been talking about how definition of what intelligence means and how it changes, what implications that has, and also,
I mean, I think this is a really, really important point, and AI just accidentally has shown us that we're measuring intelligence in all the wrong ways. That actually, what we're talking about is intelligence. it's just access to facts in many cases in exams, traditionally anyway. Or if it's not that, it's rapid problem solving. And some of these things are parts of intelligence, but intelligence is much, much wider than that. And we're really measuring the wrong things when we're assessing. Even if we should be assessing human beings, we tend to, I think, assess them in the wrong ways.
Okay, I mean, Fred, what do you think about this? I mean, are we assessing people? Well, you brought this in, the kind of educational aspect. Are we assessing people in the wrong way? What is intelligence? Would you say you're intelligent, and based on what? Stuff like that. Do you have any views about this? You don't have to. This may be too early days.
No, it's okay. Intelligence in and of itself is nothing, really. I mean, it's information about you and your environment.
So is it just collection of facts? Is it about just getting to know the facts? To some degree,
but then it doesn't feel anything. And we humans, we feel. So at some point, when does AI overtake us humans? And it's not far away.
Okay.
It's very scary.
Okay, so maybe there's a bit of fear involved. AI potentially overtaking us. Ryan is bouncing, I believe. Whatever that means in American English, I don't know. Maybe it means something different. Yeah, okay. Will you give us a final thought? Is AI actually exceeding and overtaking humans?
It's hard to tell right now. I think the biggest advantage that humans have is that, kind of like you were mentioning, intelligence is in many ways just information and knowledge about your context or environment, but it's also the connections you can make between who you are and your individual. I would argue intelligence expands beyond facts and includes things like feeling. I would say feeling is fundamentally an emotion as well, knowing what to feel and how to feel it. But I guess just like one of the last things I want to say is the biggest thing we need to pay attention to in the future is how we respond in terms of how we teach and educate the current and next generations about not only the tools surrounding AI or things like that, but fundamentally teaching them what it means to know something, what it means to learn something, and that the science of learning and the process of learning is always and will forever be far more important than the outcome of learning.
Okay, so it's about the process, not the outcome. And thank you so much. You've put in quite a lot of stuff into this, but so feeling, actually, the emotion is part of the intelligence. What do you make of that?
But what is the point of learning anything if the phone or the machine knows everything? There's
That's a very good question.
Huge swath of people that don't necessarily know how to spell. Why should they know how to spell? The phone spells for them.
So is it about maybe deciding which parts of the knowledge or intelligence are kind of obsolete, these things that are not really advancing us, like spelling? Mike, I'm going to give you this.
You seem to be carrying a musical instrument. I'm assuming you know how to play it, but that's a kind of intelligence as well, I think, isn't it? And also phones can make music as well now, I suppose, but they can't necessarily do that element of like using music as a vehicle for expression. Or I don't know, maybe they can, I don't know. But that's just a point. It's just a different kind of intelligence.
Yeah. Chris, any points on this?
I think framing stuff like language models and AI tools as instruments is an interesting lens to approach them, that they enable us to do great things, and they can be innovative, they can create products, platforms, they can create content, but it is still a tool and an instrument. It's not necessarily an automatic thing with agency in and of itself.
I mean, can I ask you, do you use AI in a kind of deliberate way in your line of work? And I'm going to ask you as well. I'm assuming you're a musician, but maybe not. You tell us.
I use it in a professional and also a personal context for stuff like brainstorming or problem solving. It can be handy to talk out your issues without boring the ears off your friends.
Okay, that's interesting, because last night we had a conversation about somebody, using AI as a kind of, to rehearse a scenario before they actually did it in real life. But okay, fine. So, Fred, what is your connection to this instrument? What is this instrument? What's going on here?
This is a bass guitar.
Yeah.
Look, AI is amazing. But at what point are we out of balance? Does AI overtake human intelligence? And I don't think that's far off from what I understand from my research. the guy, one of the main guys, I wish I could remember his name, who invented a lot of this technology, is like, it's not in a good place. We're heading for a dark place with AI. Anytime you can create a human from AI, or I could create your image and make it say whatever I wanted to say, that's a dangerous place to be.
I mean, oops, sorry about this. Well, this is maybe an interference, some kind of, AI, I don't know. But, so is AI something to be feared? That's question number one. And secondly, I mean, have you seen any kind of real life examples from your life where, maybe music, I don't know, maybe something else, where AI is kind of like verging on that? Should it be doing this? I'm a little bit scared. I'm a bit worried about what I do, Mikey.
Well, I saw this article online about there's some music models of like where you ask, a bit like the image things, you just ask the AI to come up with a tune and you prompt it. But I personally thought that the examples that they showed, were like, oh, this is really amazing music that it's coming up with. You just say, play me a jazzy beat that develops into some, I don't know. I don't even know the musical terms, but the music it came up with, I don't think was that good. I think it was, and I think that's the thing with AI. It tends to come up with quite mediocre stuff.
Okay, so AI comes up with mediocre stuff, so it's okay for you.
That's his opinion. Mm-hmm. And the music that it comes up with is not for us of this certain age group who are used to seeing a live band, jazz artists, funk artists, people playing real instruments. But for the younger generation, it's kind of okay. They're not so mad about it.
Okay, so is the musical taste or the taste changes for the worse right now? Yeah, Chris?
I think in some ways it's just an acceleration of what has already happened in a lot of creative areas, where what's the difference if an AI is writing this tune or it's a room full of Swedish songwriters who are still producing something average and generic that sounds like everything else that has gone before?
So do we think that we're more original or more sophisticated than we actually are? It doesn't matter if it's AI or a bunch of Swedish, hit song writers that appeals to our taste? I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. This table is handmade, even though it looks quite
by an AI. No,
it's not made by AI. No, but the guy who made it was very disappointed with all these little flaws and it's like a metal fibre that's laid on top. But to me, it's actually those mistakes and that sort of imperfections that actually gives it a more human quality.
Okay, I mean, what do other people think? I mean, is imperfection actually indicating our human quality or a human quality in something? Is playing with a live band where you just, maybe you're a bit drunk or maybe you just forgot something and you just play the wrong note, I don't know. Those little mistakes, those moments make the live music experience just not a generic experience. What is it?
It has nothing to do with mistakes. Mm-hmm. It's feeling. It's how I feel. I don't play the same thing over and over again like a machine will do. I feel differently today.
Guitarist.
Now, what does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean, Mike? No, but so are you saying that because you made a suggestion that maybe younger generation, they would be happy with not live performance, they'll be happy with some kind of AI produced music? Are they just like devoid of feeling? Is the younger generation just like less empathetic,
They're products of their environment.
What does that mean?
That means that they've grown up with this technology and they're totally fine with it. I didn't grow up with this technology. I grew up watching a band play. And to some degree, they still enjoy it. There are giant festivals where thousands and thousands of people show up. So there is still a place. It's still in existence, but it seems like it's going in the other direction.
So is it a question then of just different experiences for different generations, or is it you had a fuller experience and your life was fuller because you were accessing the emotions, the feelings a bit more, whereas the younger generation just doesn't, but they're happy like that. Are they missing out on something? I'm going to come to Chris because you had your hand up, and then I'll come to you, mate.
I would just put the message out that, like, go see live shows, support your artists, and even the most successful megastars release live albums and reinterpret their own material, and people go to concerts not just to support the artist but to feel something that is more visceral, that is a live experience. It's not perfect, it doesn't sound like the record, but you are experiencing something. And I feel like that's also important to remember.
Okay, so go support your local artists, go and get your experience and feeling fix.
I went to a festival. I'm going to sound like a 90-year-old old git now, but I went to a festival recently, and it was a festival of like DJ music with DJs playing music, and I've got no problem with that. I enjoyed it a lot, but at the same time, what kind of freaked me out was that everyone is there kind of almost like worshipping the DJ, kind of going, yeah, and they're all facing the DJ, when all the DJ is doing is putting on records. Okay, and maybe in a very tasteful, skillful way, but they're just putting records on. But everyone's kind of, and they've all got their phones out, they're filming this person putting on records. To me, that seems a bit weird. You're filming somebody putting on records. I mean, is it such a thing? Is it a thing to actually capture? I mean, what are you actually capturing there?
Is the artistry in DJing in a kind of crafty selection of numbers?
There might be, but it's not a visual artistry. It's just putting records on, is it? It's not a visual thing to record. What are you actually recording?
Okay.
It's not only a DJ spinning records. There's usually a light show behind him. It's a full production. It's not just some guy in a booth spinning records.
Depends on the festival.
Right.
Yeah, and the
but
budget
if it's
of the
a big festival, usually the DJs, their lights, laser lights, it's a production.
I'm going to ask these people, are DJs artists or are they just like sticking records on? DJs, are they artists?
Yes.
In what way? Because Mike, you said, come and join us for 2 seconds of your time before you go into MozFest, if that's where you're going. You may be completely lost, I don't know. You may be just here by chance. We've got Chris, we've got Fred, we've got Mikey. My name is Margot, this is Tolhuistuin. What's your name?
Andrea.
Andrea and?
Danny.
Danny, welcome. So at the moment we've been talking about what makes humans human. It's about mistakes. Fred says no, it's about, if you're a musician, if you're a creative person, then you are generating a feeling. And actually when you experience, you were saying, Chris, go and see your local bands because you will actually feel something that will you didn't say this, but it will give you something, it will deepen your relationship to reality. I'm just going to kind of abbreviate it like that. And then we were talking about Mikey went to a festival and he saw a bunch of DJs playing records and people being very excited. But is it just a younger generation of people who just don't have access to this, full experience of watching, experiencing live music? Are they emotionally flat? That's what we're talking about right now. Do you have any thoughts on this? And obviously DJs, I mean, you said they are artists. Can you expand on that a little bit more, Andrea?
Sure. I don't think we look for emotionally flat experiences in music. I think music connects us all in a deeper level, and that it creates this vibrational frequency that connects with our emotions.
Okay, so it's about the frequency. It's about kind of sharing the moment. It's not an individual experience. Is that what you're saying? Maybe. Okay, what do you think, Danny?
I think DJs are artists. One of our ventures in Colombia is based on these DJs who are mixing melodies and songs and make people go in a party and really enjoy the party. And when you go to a party where the DJ is bad, you feel it. When you go to a party where the DJ is good, you feel it as well. So
okay.
DJs are artists.
Okay, so DJs are artists, but is it about selecting which songs to play, or is it about the persona? Is it about their own frequency they put into the crowd? Can you detect it from far away? Meanwhile, we've got a new person joining our table. Give us your name.
Hello, I'm Anais. I'm a volunteer coordinator here.
Welcome, Anais. We've got Angela, Andrea, Danny, Mikey, Fred, and Chris, and I'm Margot. Yes, Mikey.
I'm not arguing that DJs are not artists, but they're not like performers as such, like a band. So why are you videoing somebody putting some? They're not even putting records on, to be honest. They're just changing MP3s now. They're selecting MP3s, and what? So why are you picking your phone up and videoing somebody selecting MP3s? That's my question, really.
Okay, so obviously we can't bring that group of people who was filming that performance right now. But has anyone ever filmed a performance?
Well, it's probably just to document and show their friends, look where I am. And put it up on Instagram or whatever. That probably has nothing to do with.
Is that something that you do?
Absolutely not. I am not a part of that generation.
Do you look down on the people who do?
I do not. I don't look down on anyone.
Okay. Okay.
Everybody's doing their best to get through this thing called life.
Okay, so let people just do their own thing in their own time. I mean, so this is kind of
Let's not let AI take over, and let artificial intelligence take out the human element in any form of artistry. That's my only thing. That's what I'm hoping.
Okay. So there's a bit of fear. Again, we're kind of coming back to that. How can we prevent? I mean, it is creativity, is artistry, is the kind of art experience under threat from AI, or is it just, it's just another tool? Somebody said before, it's like Photoshop when it came out. It was a bit weird, but it was just a tool. Chris, what do you think? And then I'll come to you.
I think for a lot of uses, like creating graphics for websites or stock photography, it's a great tool, but it's always going to miss the spark of creativity and creating anything original. I think music, particularly like AI, has not got any funk. It's not going to tap into something instinctive that organisms and human beings relate to, and that's one of the important tasks of a DJ, is to curate an atmosphere and a vibe that's consistent across different tracks. And we were dancing and singing long before we used language and words.
So this is a question. I mean, and you kind of made me think of this. So is it a question of like doing something skillfully, or is it actually about something that cannot be copied by anything, and that's just something that, the vibration that we send out, as apparently this DJ artist in Colombia does? Yeah, Mikey?
I mean, I think the algorithms are already, maybe not AI, but algorithms and inevitably AI have got into playlists already. Like I don't know, quite often when I go to a party, people will start off putting on music and then they let Spotify or YouTube take over. And actually it's because no one can be bothered to start selecting, or, the algorithm knows all the music in the world, so it can say, oh, you've put on this track, you've put on Hips Don't Lie, so then obviously you're going to like Waka Waka or whatever, something that I haven't heard of, so I can't make an example. So the algorithm is already ahead of us when it comes to DJing in many ways.
Is it a source of fear for you? This is my question, because you're saying, let's not get that in a way.
It's definitely not a source of fear. I think it's actually helping us. It's freeing up that one person that otherwise would have to select the tracks all night.
Okay, so it's actually doing the job that somebody just they just want to enjoy the party.
We've become lazy then. That what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so
and what cost is that? And what cost are we going to pay for being lazy?
Okay, this is a question I can bounce out to everyone. Yeah, luckily you've got the answer.
Yes, I don't know if I have the answer, but I think it's more about co-creating with technology. Because if you say you want to, for example, create a new record, and you have all these millions of records in your hands, how do you go through all of the information and select which is your best style to create something new? You can use AI and some algorithms to kind of help you select, same as art. For example, if you want to create a new design, it's a tool that we can use, and I use it every day in my life.
What do you use it for?
I use it for writing, for creativity. We do some brainstorming sessions for our startups, and it's amazing.
Okay, so actually, has that convinced you? But also, what about this question of laziness? I mean, Anaïs, you are involved in the festival. I mean, should it be renamed something like Lazy People's Fest? I don't know, something like that.
None of the sessions.
Openly lazy by MozFest.
I can guarantee that there was a human behind making the schedule for the festival, so don't worry about that.
That's good.
I think of two things basically. Just back to your point about like putting the Spotify on and them knowing the AI knowing what songs to be putting on. You have to keep into account that AI is biased towards the data that has been gathered by that person in particular who's using the Spotify, that user, and what they've been listening to for months, maybe days. Like I'm sure all of you have experienced YouTube timeline being very badly presented when you're doing like, I don't know, going on a rabbit hole of a specific topic, and then for weeks you have your YouTube timeline just that topic, and that's so annoying. But also I don't think AI will replace human beings, because at the end of the day we have to remember we're all unique people. It's not just English speaking people, there are people in other cultures, other languages, with other backgrounds as well. The AI cannot possibly replace all of those possibilities without already knowing them. So there's always going to be new content from the human world essentially that will always be coming and will be unique, and the AI will just be trained onto them.
Okay, so maybe don't worry, Fred, because we're just going to give it...
I disagree.
Okay, well tell us why, tell us.
How about, like, okay, you use AI to help you do what it is that you do, and my question is, at what point are you no longer needed? And we go directly to AI. Like, I mean, I live in New York. When you catch the subway, you go and buy a token. We don't need the token booth anymore. Those people they don't exist anymore.
Okay, so so at what point will you become expendable, not really needed? I mean, I'm going to come to Chris and
I think part of the problem is, and people mentioned YouTube and Spotify, is that it tends towards the average and the mainstream of, it's going to recommend you the biggest hits that are on the charts, that are in playlists for everybody else. I will give a shout out to a tool called Forgotify, which will suggest you a song on Spotify that has never been played by another person on Spotify. It's probably been played by someone before because someone recorded it and uploaded it, but it's a great way to discover crazy stuff.
Okay, I love this. Also, I just because you mentioned about the you mentioned about the rabbit holes that kind of like disturb your algorithm. What's the as a final thought? You can say absolutely anything. I'm just interested. What rabbit holes have you been on your YouTube channel or whatever?
I really enjoy reading about the history of the development of pottery.
Okay. Any insights? Anything we should know?
I mean, I find the chemical compositions of clay really fascinating, but I'm not sure everyone else will.
Okay, we'll look it up. Don't worry. Thank you, Chris. And yeah, give us a follow on it on one of the AI run platforms. That's Instagram or something. Are you guys going? Okay, well, give us.
For Chris? What about Pottify?
Pottify.
That selects different pottery. Let's get some final thoughts.
Turn an image into give us a final thought just before you go. Just to throw anything at all. Any closing comments? Any new questions for the next chapter of this chat?
AI is here to stay.
Okay. Thank you.
We can see it not as artificial intelligence, but automated intuition.
Automated intuition.
Okay. Okay. Drops the mic.
To me, that sounds worse than artificial intelligence. Automated intuition sounds actually more dangerous and sinister.
Okay. How do you feel now? You came in with like full of optimism and kind of like some internalized fears about AI. How do you feel now?
Nothing's changed. I'm still nervous about it, you know. But you know.
Do you use YouTube?
I am. I'm starting to. And it's pretty fascinating.
Yep.
The information you can get there. You know, you have to be careful with that because you can get a lot of bad information. You can be grossly misinformed. And these are things you have to be careful of. In the States, there are a lot of misinformed people. So you're seeing the negative effects of all this bad information that's out.
But may I just ask you, just because, you know, as you rightly have pointed out, not everybody's like, you know, au fait with the internet, and for many people is just kind of like stepping into it very gradually, and maybe a generational thing, and maybe whatever thing, but do you know how to get by the way, come and join us, this is a talk show, you are on it, come and join us, talking about the internet. I don't know if you heard of this is just the internet and AI, but do you know where to get your right information from? As somebody who's, I would say maybe a beginner to the whole kind of technology.
Well, I don't absolutely rely on technology for information, but I do get most of my information from independent sources. Definitely not the corporate media.
Okay.
I'm clear about that.
Okay. And what's the last rabbit hole that you've been down on YouTube?
Probably watching. Well, I've been watching a lot of videos about philosophers.
Okay.
You know.
So this is a very kind of refined crowd. But meanwhile, we've got Fred, we've got Mikey, we've got, what's your name?
Lorenzo.
Lorenzo, and we've got Anais and Margot, and this is Tokyoki. It's a pop-up talk show. The way this works is people say something on the mic, I'll just pass it around. Sometimes I link it together, sometimes not. And right now we've been talking about, the technology, talking about are we here to be replaced by AI? Is AI, what did she say? Artificial intuition. Automated intuition. And what do we think about that? Mikey.
Well, I'm just wondering if AI will be doing philosophy soon. It'll be not I think, therefore I am, but I don't know.
Okay.
I click, therefore I am. I don't know. Someone will have to come up with something better than that. That was René Descartes. Yeah.
Give yourself a round of applause.
Yeah. But, I don't know. I mean, in a way, it needs someone to program it, but would we get any benefit from getting artificial intelligence to do a bit of philosophy? Would it help the AI? Would it help us?
I mean, that's a very good point. Should AI do a bit more philosophy or something like this? Yeah, Anais?
I think it would just raise more questions. Just like philosophy in general, it just raises more questions.
But is it bad? I mean, if we feed the AI enough, I don't know, questions, enough information, it's never going to outsmart humans, so that's okay. Everyone's happy.
No. And I think just going back to the adjective automated intuition, I think it's augmented, not automated intuition.
Okay.
Because it helps. Again, using it as a tool as well. And quite interesting, I find it in healthcare, this conversation is going on as well. And all clinicians are saying that AI cannot replace ever doctors or medical staff because we're going towards more of a personalized care plan for patients. Mm-hmm. So it will only be used as a sort of data analysis tool that would help us see patterns and be more open with just big data about our patients rather than just, go to this GP and not have anything robust about your diagnosis, So,
okay, I mean, Lorenzo, what about you? I mean, would you ever go to a chat GP? Doctor? Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, I use also to work ChatGPT because I program and actually for programming I have to say that ChatGPT sometimes is useful, but is useful because you that are an expert interact with the technology. So you start with a prompt, you receive an answer, you interact, and the final result is you get faster the results, and it's less boring because it removes all the mechanical part. I've seen this like someone that could do a mechanical task and I have more time for critical thinking and this kind of stuff.
Okay.
So I think that AI could help to have more time to critical thinking and to reason to an higher level, and use this machine as slavery and not use people as slavery.
Okay. Okay, so it can be actually useful with just like freeing up more time for you to do some creative thinking. I think before you guys joined, we were talking about is AI getting a little bit too middle class and just getting involved in I'm just going to do art. I'm not going to do the boring stuff that you're talking about. Well. Medicine, I don't want to do that. I want to do art. I want to create beautiful music infused with philosophy. I mean, is AI just becoming a bit too intelligent? We have been talking about the definition of intelligence as well. I mean, is your ChatGPT, would you say they're intelligent because you fed it all that information? Are they like a child?
I don't think that. I think only that there is a lot of data about programming on the web for example, there is a platform for programming. In this moment, I don't remember the name. It's really famous. All programmers share the codes, and so. Stack Overflow, exactly. Yeah. And I think that there is
Stack Overflow.
And this is open. So ChatGPT could acquire data from this, and for this reason it becomes good in programming. However, it's not able to directly solve new problems, probably, because the knowledge is limited, and there is also not a higher level of criticism.
Thank you and welcome. Are you going, Fred? Yes, give us your final thought, and then we're just gonna get more people involved.
One of the philosophers I was listening to said, we're all gonna die. Why aren't we nicer to each other?
Which philosopher was that?
I knew you'd ask Fred.
Yeah. Okay, copyright Fred. So right now, Fred, grab one of these if you want to. You can give us a follow. We do have a YouTube channel actually. That can feed into your
we get 7
binge watching addiction.
We might be able to appear on Forgotify actually because we get so few views.
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, meanwhile, okay, we've got a new person to the table. We've got Mikey, we've got Lorenzo, we've got Anais, and Margot. What's your name?
Georgi.
Georgi, welcome, Georgi. And right now we're talking about intelligence. There's some people, spectators over there. Come and join us if you wish. I will not force you, but you're welcome to join with your drinks and snacks and curiosity, more to the point. Right now we're talking about artificial intelligence, philosophy. Could we teach ChatGPT to get a bit more philosophical? If your GP, if your doctor was just a very nice AI, would you prefer it to a normal person and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, that's a very interesting question because I'm living in the working in the healthcare area.
Oh, perfect.
I'm developing AI algorithms for the healthcare systems, and essentially I believe that ChatGPT or technology based on ChatGPT or large language models will be integrated as part of the healthcare systems in the future. There will be like these powerful triage systems where they can ask you questions, basic questions of what's your current health condition, and based on what you answer to decide who's the best possible specialists for your condition, for example.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So hit and run. This is a talk show. It's called Talkioki. You are on it, and give us your final and initial thought.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, a very good point. No, we're talking about healthcare. We're talking about AI. Actually,
would you go to a ChatGPT?
Yeah.
A ChatGPT GP? Would you go to a robot doctor essentially?
Oh, it depends on what type of data it collects from me.
Okay. So it's not even about the interface. It's just what is that kind of artificial doctor collecting from you? What data would you not like to share?
Actually, the most important one, I think, like the biometric data, basically human tracking, I think, is not really a good thing to track on people, mainly from a corporate standpoint. So I think the only thing that I will give will like manual information that I could input that the robo doctor or wherever would ask me, not something directly like I will not allow monitoring system basically.
Okay, right. So maybe we don't talk to the artificial doctor about everything. Maybe there's some tracking information that we don't want to share, biometrics and all that kind of stuff. I mean, is that something that you consider, Georgie, because you're working in healthcare?
No, actually, we have already shared our biometric data with government systems. So
is it too late?
So it's already too late. I mean, not too late in the negative sense, of course.
Yeah, in the negative sense.
Yeah.
Okay. It depends. So I definitely see the future being automated by such systems, but in the basic stuff, in the beginning of the triage stuff, and then when we're speaking about the actual interventions by specialists, of course they will be assisted by AI, but will not replaced entirely by AI systems. There is still needs for the human touch and the human opinion intelligence in these kind of procedures.
Okay, so maybe it's, it's too late, but it's not that bad. Maybe that's the message, because there's always a human involved. I mean, Lorenzo, what do you think about any of this? I mean, is there any particular kind of data that you wouldn't want your ChatGPT to know about your area of expertise, or you just kind of share everything? It's like, you can know everything about me.
I'm not. I can share everything, but I don't like if someone based on what I shared take actions. The problem for me is not to share, but the action that you take when you have something, like. For me, all what I've learned is based on the fact that the people shared their knowledge in my life. So And also for me, directly for me, it's not a problem to share, but I not pretend that the other people have to share, basically.
Okay, so you can share, you don't have a problem with that, but you understand that other people may not be so willing.
I mean, I don't think the problem is sharing data. The problem is sharing resources. I think we all naturally like to share our data. Otherwise, Tolhuistuin wouldn't work because we're sharing our data. But the capitalist system means we don't share resources. Resources are hoarded by a few wealthy individuals, and that bleeds into how our healthcare systems work, how our social media work, is that we actually, we're all happy to share data, but we're very upset that we don't get to share resources.
I mean, Anais, what do you think about that? You mentioned about collaboration. I mean, is it even possible if somebody's benefiting from it?
I mean, I was just thinking about just healthcare data that fuels these AI, because actually I've been to Intelligent Health UK conference just last month in London, and they were all talking about just how to integrate AI into healthcare, and there was a workshop on femtech. On that is women's health apps in healthcare, and the insights that I've gotten from there, such as like there is no database of knowing, how much period bleeding is heavy or not, and how to describe that to doctors as well. There is no standard, there is no way we can actually train the new technology on that and make it useful for literally half the population of this globe.
I mean, so is gender something to do with it as well? I mean, is the kind of...
I think it's risky because we have gendered data at the moment. Most of the research community has been trained on just male participants, and only now we're realizing that we need more women in clinical studies and just overall research in order to actually give the best health advice to women, because so many conditions, besides just reproductive health, are very specific to the woman's body. So, and not any of them are standardized or even understood completely enough to give the right treatment to those patients. So I think AI could have a good opportunity in that sector, definitely.
Okay, so maybe there's an opportunity that AI can actually lean into a bit more.
If you just to back up that point.
All right. Well, if you're gonna go, then grab. I'm gonna grab a final thought from both of you. It could be about anything that we're talking about. It could be something completely brand new.
What?
Yeah. Just give us a final thought. Something you're just gonna,
okay. I don't know about what, but she talked about the gendered content.
Anything. Could be that, could be something else.
I can tell that most of generative AI is biased. Like if you ask, give me an image of a boss, usually is a white man. But if you specify, you got what you want. So the really point is the prompt engineering, in my opinion. To use if you ask with specific detail, you get what you want in prompt engineering. Not precisely, not. However, it's biased. It's biased because it reflects the reality. Actually, like also in probably in European Union, there are more politician males than females. So sometimes it's a reflection of the reality.
Okay.
It's good because you can monitor the reality and maybe change the reality, and if you change the reality, also the technology will change. It will be less biased.
So it's a bit of a philosophical approach to it all. Change the reality, then stuff will change. Yes, thank you very much.
I'll be very quick. So AI is like a tool, like the knife, the hammer, and it is. It is up to the people to decide how to use it, whether for bad intentions or for good intentions. So essentially, I believe that AI, I'm on the positive side, and I believe that AI can be used to create positive value in our society, and this should be the future of AI.
Okay, so it's like thank you very much, Georgie. Thank you for this. Are you offered as well? Give us a final thought before you bounce.
As you were saying, like the AI can be used for good or bad things. My concern is that a lot of not really transparent companies are working on really powerful AI systems. So I don't really believe in like making that much good out of it. I believe that some good will make out of it, not like our lives will be like managed by AI in some.
And what's the kind of worst scenario that you're anticipating with all that work being give us maybe one aspect of that scenario. What's like the worst thing?
That's a really difficult question, but something that really scares me is that surveillance is getting really accurate. Basically, we can surveillance almost everything in our lives because our chips have rootkits that can track everything that we have. We don't, like, SSL certificates are not a encryption certificates are not a problem in that. But what I'm trying to say is that when when there are generative models or prediction models working our data in the way that is decisive, it will be really destructive for humans.
Okay, so surveillance is one of the areas that can go badly wrong.
Yeah. In my opinion, that's the one that will go badly wrong.
It will. Okay, so wait, it's not a might, it will. Okay, according to
Yeah, in my point of view, it is because exactly, all the bias, and I don't trust, like, the government's intentions were not good after all. If we go deep.
Okay, so the government's out to get us. I mean, we've got a few new people around the table. It's in English. I hope that's okay. I can't do Dutch, but yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks so much for stopping by. But this is a pop-up talk show. We just talk about anything that people want to talk about. Right now, we've been talking about surveillance. Is it actually quite a dangerous thing? Are you worried about the government knowing where you are, what you're doing at any point of your life? Is that a problem? And also, do you use technology in your life? What do you think about it? We've got Anais, we've got Mikey. My name is Margot. What's your name?
Joaquin.
Joaquin?
Marcos.
Marcos?
José Miguel.
José Miguel?
Octavio.
Octavio. And? Come and join us.
Francisco.
Francisco. Okay, I'll try to do my best to memorize all your names, but yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so this is kind of where we are at. I mean, do you use technology? Are you worried about AI? Are you worried about the surveillance? And yeah, in what way?
Well, I want to study engineering, informatic engineering, you know, and the AI is a problem, I think, for us. And yes, I'm a little bit scared.
Okay, and in what way do you think that's gonna be a problem? I mean, obviously you are studying, information technology, but so is it a threat for that particular area of life, or is it a bit broader?
Well, I think it could be, you know, the problem could be bigger, but in my own field, I think it's a very important thing because, well, AIs can do whatever, any coding, you know, they can code anything without effort, and I think a lot of jobs could be lost.
Okay, so there could be loss of jobs. I mean, is that something that you worry about in terms of AI? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I think many jobs are going to be replaced by maybe robots in the future. So, but I think that many jobs that humans do cannot be replaced because humans do it with feeling, with love, and robots cannot do so, you know.
Okay, so this is, before you guys joined, but we had a musician on the table and they were talking about, you know, he was saying, I'm quite worried about AI replacing a lot of jobs, but actually it's exactly what you said. There's that kind of human feeling, a human emotion that AI cannot replicate, and actually that's fantastic. Anais, and I'll come to you, Mikey.
We also have to keep in mind, just like any invention in human history, while it might be replacing some jobs, it will create more and more jobs that will be different and will require far more skills and knowing how to use the AI tool.
I mean, are these jobs going to be easily accessible, do you think, or?
That is the question, isn't it? The educational sector needs to step up a bit.
Okay, so there will be jobs, but maybe very few people will know how to perform them.
Jobs are always lost to new technology, but it tends to be the boring jobs. Yeah. Like, you know, before we had tractors, people were digging up fields all day, every day. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. A tractor is a much more fun way to plough a field than using a ox or whatever. So it's always the boring jobs that get replaced. And it's the same, I think, with AI. It's going to replace the boring stuff.
But what about music? I mean, I just kind of wanted to kind of throw that in because, you know, you mentioned this idea of a feeling. And before, I think we were talking about, somebody was making a point, you know, current generation they don't really access their feelings. They don't really they don't know what it's like to listen to live band. They're happy with an AI generated, piece of music. I mean, is that so? I mean, do you guys listen to music? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, for example, I listen to many rappers that some of their music has been generated with AI music because they passed like a few years ago and stuff, and it's weird, and I think that it's strange because they don't take into consideration that probably that person wouldn't want to create that type of music, or so I don't really like AI. I find it kind of dangerous also.
But can you tell when you're listening to a rapper who used AI to generate their music, or is it a bit like, I'm not sure right now, I like it, yeah, do you know?
Not really, that's the strange and the weird part of it.
Okay, are you okay with it, with not knowing?
No, because then you don't know if maybe like if you don't know what is real and what is not, it's like we could be living in the Matrix or something and we wouldn't know. So
yeah, I mean, are we living in a Matrix in your view? Are you real?
I don't know. I don't know. No, it's very complicated.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have seen many artists who have been copied by AI,
Yep.
and that's strange because some are like you don't know, but others it's clear that they are not them, they are not the artists. But as a matter of fact, I have seen others like Duki and all these new people from reggaeton that have been copied, and it's difficult to see if it is an AI or not.
Okay, so there's a bit of a we just don't know. I mean, what do you think about this? I mean, can you tell right away something's got the real feeling, real emotion? Have you been fooled?
Actually, in this field, the music, I actually like a lot ETA, which is a famous group in Spain, and I've seen a lot of music being copied by the AIs, but it's actually not the same. It's like the music, but without the love that people transmit.
Okay, so love cannot be generated by AI, but can care be generated by AI? You were talking about the healthcare and stuff. It's okay, love cannot be replicated, but can care?
I mean, I think it's going to have to be because there's not enough young people around, and so when sort of people of my generation are going to get old and sick, we are not going to be cared for by humans because there's going to be too many of us in compared to who's going to be left, because there's less and less people getting born. So we're going to have to rely on AI carers.
Okay.
Just because of a demographic shift.
Okay, so is the demographic shifting? I mean, when you get really old, I mean, what's going to happen? Will you be looked after by a robot, by something like that? Yeah, Anais?
Well, I mean, AI is currently being used for imaging, so figuring out diagnosis of lung cancer, where doctors usually miss it because it's just not very perceivable to the eye. But AI models being trained on thousands and thousands of MRIs or CT scans are very well developed at the current stage, where they are doing a better job than doctors, but still it's informing the diagnosis, it's not creating the diagnosis, because there are so many factors involved, and doctors are really trained to be essentially investigators of the human body, while AI cannot be an investigator at the moment, can it?
I mean, I don't know. Can it? I mean, can AI just... Yeah, go on, Mikey.
Yeah, well, as I said, I think AI is going to be doing the boring stuff, like, or it might be robots, like just washing people, feeding people, making sure they take their pills, all that kind of stuff.
It's playing them some reggaeton, just to kind of...
exactly. It's still going to be a doctor, but instead of a doctor having 1,000 patients, the doctor could have 100,000 patients, because AI is doing most of the stuff. You get an AI appointment.
But you're kind of going into the future. I mean, like, when you think about future, I mean, like, are there any things that you are guys thinking about? I mean, are there kind of areas that you think, not sure how this is going to pan out, or like, well, actually future is bright, or future is absolutely desperately bad?
I think one of the problems in the future will be electric cars, because I think instead of electric cars, there will be like hydrogen cars or something like that, because personally, I don't see human society in the future all people having electric cars, because like they pollute. Like making an electric car, I think is worse for the environment than a normal car, because you need to put all the lithium, copper, all the materials, and I personally think there's going to be another problem that I don't think we don't have the future solved for transport.
Okay, so maybe something that's kind of being made to look like, oh, this is a bright future, actually has got this kind of double side to it where that's going to kill us, Mikey?
I mean, I think AI can actually help there as well, because we won't have our own vehicles. It will just be like a sort of, yeah, it's going to be semi-public transport where, you know, it'll be a little bit like Uber, but run by a computer, where the nearest kind of vehicle will come and pick you up.
Yeah,
and
basically
that will
be an
mean less
electric car.
resources.
Talking about electric cars right now.
Would you get in a? No, too late.
Yeah, too late. No, but like, isn't the problem still remaining the same? Meaning, come and join us if you wish. Person just looking over there. Yeah, come and join us. Have you ever driven an electric car? Is it good? Is it worth the damage it's causing to the planet? Yeah, you've got something to say?
Well, indeed, AI, I think, can replace people like driving, because they know perfectly. They can, in their system, they can put all the roads and like the turns, and they can. I have seen in many videos like the famous YouTuber Johan that they can do all these traces like perfectly without going out of the road, and it's quite strange because there's only past like 2 years, and there's cars from Tesla and all these things that can drive. And I don't understand it because it's very difficult for me.
Yeah, so you're saying that there's also like this precision of driving an electrical car, or like a driverless car, which is just a bit freaky, maybe. I mean, as a scientist, what is your take on this?
Well, I didn't start to study engineering, but it's my future plan, you know. I didn't start, but from my point of view, these type of cars, I think they are the future. Nowadays, this type of car, you know, you can be absent of the car like for a couple of minutes, but then you have to put your hands on the
steering wheel.
The steering wheel, yes. And well, I think that in the future cars could do like longer and longer
journeys.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe that's something. Yeah, so that's maybe something to look forward to. Thank you. Are you leaving us? Okay, give us your final thoughts. Something.
I think.
Well, give us
the
your final
future
thoughts.
of AI can be good only if we give power to the people. We need to have regulations. We have policies before we can actually mass adopt this new technology.
Okay, but regulations, is that going to give more power or actually take away power and curtail people's
enable agency? More power.
Okay, thank you very much, Anais. Thank you for sticking around. So now we're going to do some final thoughts, because I think you guys are going as well. Yeah, give us a thought about anything. Could be what you're doing in Amsterdam. I don't know. Maybe you live here.
I think that the final conclusion about this main theme is that we have to live in a type of mix between humans and robots. We have to maybe adapt to the new future advances that are coming. And I want to thank you guys of bringing us here to making our thoughts. And I just want to make a, like, we in Spain say saludo.
Okay.
And goraita to all of you.
Oh, thank you. Saludo to you. Or cheers in English. I suppose I was trying to think of Polish, but no, na zdrowie, but that's more like, yeah, I'm Polish. Come on, everybody knows na zdrowie. Thank you very much. Thank you for being able to join us. Final thought, anything?
I have to ask, is this on live or where?
Yeah, it's going to go on our YouTube at some point, but probably not imminently.
Oh, okay, thanks.
We're very slow because we're not AIs.
Okay. So we will go on there eventually.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think AI could bring very good things, but at the moment I'm very afraid of what's coming in. And well, goraita y Juan Maricón.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that AI could really help us in the future, but I think the sooner we start to regulate it, I think it will be the better for all of us.
So kind of echoing what she was saying.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. A bit more regulation. Thank you very much.
Yes, I think AI, it's part of the future, as he has said, and we need to adapt to them because they will be helpful, but also we have to have a little bit of caution because they can be dangerous. So thanks also, and as we say in Spain, alright, thank you.
Thank you very much. Guys, have a lovely afternoon. Thank you so much for stopping by. Really appreciate your time. Thank you very much, and have a lovely afternoon. And enjoy Dr. Pepper, whatever you're drinking it. Take care. But anyway, we've got a new person around the table. What's your name?
Laurie.
Hey, Laurie. Say it again.
Laurie.
Perfect. Yes, I was just testing my mic. And who have we got here?
Mikey.
Mikey, and my name is Margot. So this is Tolhuistuin. It's a pop-up talk show. The way it works is that you come up with subjects, I just spin around, pass this microphone around, there's a man with a tongue out, come join our Tolhuistuin, you're welcome to. But right now, as we're just starting up, we don't have any subjects, so what should we be talking about, Laurie? What's on your mind?
Transparency and sustainability.
Okay, what do you have to say about that?
I guess we are in MozFest, and I have been talking about transparency a lot of in different contexts too, of harming, how tech is harming communities, but sometimes it's hard to materialize when it's about ecological issues related to AI, like how exactly is AI harming our ecosystem, our forests, our lands, and yeah, I guess that's it.
Okay, so I mean, but why is it hard to quantify that, to kind of, describe it? Like, what is so particular about AI harming the environment that is somehow difficult to describe?
I guess it still is maybe in the imaginary. It's very abstract. It's all the conversation about data, infrastructure in the logistics, how information flows. I still, maybe I'm being generalistic, but it does sound abstract, that, it's not like a mega infrastructure project, that's harming, that you can see like a railroad, and then you discover actually that the energy consumption of a data center, or where they are located, all different ways that to build an AI or a foundation model that works and be effective. Yes, that is a level of impact that can be quantified. But
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe when we talk about data and kind of in those big general terms, maybe it's just a bit too abstract. Maybe we need to kind of zone in on particularities of what it actually means. Could MozFest happen without all this energetic consumption? I'm assuming there's some kind of energetic consumption involved here, yeah, Mikey?
Yeah, I mean, we expended a lot of energy getting here.
Yeah. Where were you getting from?
From London, UK, on a plane.
Yeah.
But I personally think this is a different question to what you're talking about, but I personally think it is worthwhile to spend a bit of plane fuel, pollute the atmosphere in order to do such an important thing here in Amsterdam.
But I mean, is it fair to say, this is a worthy cause to pollute the planet a little bit, but some causes maybe are not so, family going on holidays, that's not so good. You shouldn't go on holiday.
We should go on holidays. We should do like MozFest. I should be able to meet Brandy in person.
Hello, branding person. Come and join us for 2 seconds.
No.
Okay.
No, she needs to work. Yeah. But didn't want to put her in the spotlight. But yes, we need to be able to meet our colleagues, travel, and then think on the, responsibility of big actors, like the level of impact. Individually, my level of impact doesn't even compare to a corporation that extracts, like fracking, the level of mining exploration for, the foundation models that are there, like causing, harming, and, communities. So think
So
more
I mean,
broadly.
so is there something to be celebrating? Well, yeah, I'm not that bad. Okay, well, you're gonna go. Will you give us a final thought before you go? Was that it? Or give us something new, maybe?
What's his name? Mikey? Mikey was so good to be here with you, and you,
Margot.
Margot
Yes,
too.
sorry, I don't have a lanyard.
And
I'm a bit
that's
of a rebel.
amazing.
Sorry about
MozFest. It's the amazing event. My first MozFest. Yeah, my first.
Yeah,
Moz.
where did you
in
come
person?
from today?
Yeah, I came from Brazil.
Hey, well, welcome. So we hope you enjoy your first day of MozFest. We're going to be here all day today and tomorrow. But yes,
Well, I know you're rushing off, but you know we're always going on about this forest you've got in Brazil. Can AI do anything about the saving or preserving this forest that we all around the world need to
or
breathe?
changing the political system to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, in any way, can AI help, or is it just distracting us from this big conservation problem?
As long as it's discussed with the communities, yes, it's can be. Solutions are there.
Okay. Thank you very much. You heard it here first. So enjoy the rest of the festival.